Go Show.
There's no need to drive around South Florida wasting valuable time looking for a new or certified pre-owned Acura. Go to the #1 volume sales dealership in the Southeast United States. Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. Purchase with pace and space in a dealership tailored to your needs. From home buying to providing that personal touch. Contact the 2020 Satisfaction Award winner Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. 888-776-5123. That's 888-776-5123. Or visit them at 15601 Pines Boulevard in Pembroke Pines.
Welton Rayom has more than 62 years of litigation experience handling insurance disputes. They're committed to resolving even the toughest insurance claims quickly. Call them for a free consultation. 954-966-4646. At Welton Rayom, they don't get paid unless you win. Property damage claims to your home, business, or condo as a result of a hurricane. Welton Rayom can help. Water, mold, fire, smoke damage, Welton Rayom can help. Call 954-966-4646.
If you're a Miami sports fan, then there's only one store to go to, and that's Caneswear at Miami Fanwear in Davie. They're your one-stop shop for all your inner Miami CFs, Canes, Dolphins, Panthers, and Marlins merchandise. They have hats, t-shirts, game day jerseys, and so much more. Located at 2511 South University Drive in Davie, and open 24/7 online at caneswear.com or innermiamiwear.com. Call them at 954-835-5597. Caneswear, the spot where Inner Miami and all Miami sports fans shop.
Oh, I think I know what this is. Houston, we have a package. Hello?
No matter where you are, the Sloman Shield home security system guards your home. With next-gen perimeter protection, 24/7 monitoring, and interior motion sensing. And right now, get a free Sloman Shield security system and doorbell camera, all professionally installed, for free.
Shield your world, the Sloman Shield.
When you move, you need a reliable company led by passionate folks, eager to assist its customers during a transitional process that needs to be smooth. Call Essential Moving Experts at 844-368-5750 for all your local and long-distance moving needs. You can rely on Essential Moving Experts. Mention the Big O Show and get $150 off. Family owned and operated, they offer free 30-day storage, full-service moving, fully licensed, bonded, and insured. Moving was never so easy. EssentialMovingExperts.com.
For over 16 years, EJDConstruction.com has provided South Florida residents quality craftsmanship, accurate project management, and exceptional service. That's why EJDConstruction.com is an A-rated member of Angie's List and the Better Business Bureau. When you're looking for the right custom home builder for additions or home remodeling, please call my friend Eric at 305-433-4843. That's 305-433-4843 for EJDConstruction.com.
Welcome to Red Light Therapy, a revolutionary technology perfected by NASA to aid in muscle strengthening and recovery. Red and infrared light has the capacity to penetrate deep into the cell's mitochondria, potentially leading to increased energy, faster recovery, and the optimal performance your body demands. Train, fight, recover.
The viewpoint statements or beliefs expressed on the following program by the host, guests, or callers are not necessarily the opinions of FantasyXS.com, Media Group Inc., ownership, management, sponsors, or website.
With the 42nd pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, the Miami Dolphins select...
The Big O Radio Show hits the road with the EJDconstruction.com off-season NFL Draft Tour, presented by SportsGrill.com. Your home for the NFL Draft with 8 great locations in South Florida. Here's your host, Big O.
All righty, baby. Welcome aboard. Good morning from beautiful Mobile, Alabama. Yes, we are on a little earlier. We told you that this week we would be on a little earlier. So get your ass up. Listen, if I can drive 9.5 hours here, all right, after I got off yesterday, and then be ready for you guys this morning, you can be there. All right, Sean, are we good? Does it sound good? Are we getting nizzle? I see Manolo there. How we doing? Does it sound good? Everything?
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit echoey. It's not as clear as, but it's good. It's fine.
It's good?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
We're not in the studio, so you're fine.
All right. Let me see. Let me hear on the iPad on the way on the rebound here. See how it sounds. On the rebound here. See how it sounds. It's fine. It's fine. Yeah. I'm not in my studio where everything is padded and nothing bounces. I'm in a room, So what do you want me to do? It is what it is. What can I tell you? But anyway, good morning. I hope you all are doing well. And it doesn't sound bad, at least. That's the good thing. It's not crackling and stuff like that. So anyway, so we're all good. And we got practice this morning. This will be the next 3 days will be a little bit different than the normal show because we won't be on at the same times as well. As you know, right now we're on 2 hours earlier than we normally are on, and that's because at 9 o'clock we've got Inside the Paint, and they'll do from 9 to 10, and then I'll come back, and so the shows will be the same amount of time. But the difference is it's going to be a little earlier where we're posting everything because I'm out here and I've got to be at practice at 11:30, the first practice. So I'm out here to watch the practices. I'm out here to talk to the NFL people, and I've got to be where the NFL people are working. And so got to get the show in the morning, and then we're off to work and do our thing and see if we can find out some nuggets for you all. And find out some draft nuggets and all kinds of stuff, maybe free agency. I saw Barry Jackson had a list of free agents and all that. Maybe we'll talk a little bit about that, later on. So I appreciate all of you out there. Had a good drive too, actually, a very good drive from Miami to Mobile. Some people ask me, "You're crazy. You're driving, right?" And I'm like, well, think about it. It's a 9.5 hour drive. I don't mind driving. I'm one of those guys, I kick in my music. I'm fine. And I have no problem with driving. That's never been an issue with me. But I go, well, you drive from home to the airport's 45 minutes. You get there about 2 hours before your flight. So that's 2 hours and 45 minutes. If your flight leaves on time, don't know if it does, but if it does, great. If it doesn't, then you're adding more time there. But let's just say another 2 hours on the flight. And then there's another hour and 15, hour and 20 minutes of getting your bag, getting on the bus to go to the or train to go to the car terminal. Then you go get your car and you got to stand in line for that. Then you got to get the car, and it's a 2 hour drive from New Orleans to Mobile. So I'm still renting a car like I did here, but I have to go through all that crap and travel and all that. I told my wife, you know what, man, it's stress-free for me. Get on the less stress way, the turnpike, connect with I-75, I-10, and I'm there, So it's
It's an easy trip for me, at least. You know what I mean? So actually, it got some decent sleep too. Actually, so it was actually a good trip. No accidents, no nothing, no craziness on the way up here. So overall, pretty good. Had my Chick-fil-A this morning. So, Sean, I'm ready to go, baby. I got my Chick-fil-A. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to rock and roll. So here we are. Got plenty of energy, ready to go. Cameron Wolfe and Manny Navarro will be joining us. They'll join us at 10:30 and at 11. So we'll get those guys in and have some fun and talk a couple of things with them. Cameron Wolfe, obviously, the talk now is the Vic Fangio deal, right? Either it's done or it's not done, or I don't know what the hell's going on. I got to tell you, I've been trying to unearth where the hell are we going with this thing, right? And I've kind of gotten stonewall a little bit, so kind of tells me that remember, let's do something here. Let's clear something up right now, okay? This isn't the Dolphins doing this. The Dolphins didn't report that they've signed Vic Fangio. Okay, it was the NFL Network and Tom Pelissero, and Tom Pelissero's money, man. If he made a mistake here, it's rare if he did. But normally, I mean, that guy's money. But it's not the Dolphins, because my buddy calls me, goes, "Oh, dude, only the Dolphins would do this," and I go, "The Dolphins haven't done anything, bro." It's like I shut my buddy down like right away. I go, "What the hell are you talking about, dude? Dolphins didn't report that they signed him. There's no press release or nothing like that. That was an NFL Network reporter that said it." And then you've got, two reporters that are countering it in Mike Kliss and then Mike Silver. Okay, Kliss first is the guy that came with the, "Hey, no, it's not finalized yet." And then Mike Silver came in with, "Hey, I talked to Fangio and he says I haven't finalized anything." And listen, I don't know, maybe Fangio's old school. Oh, yeah, he is. And maybe he's that guy that says, "Yeah, no, I haven't finalized anything until you sign it." Because really, in the end, it reminds me of the polka dot guy, because that's what we're going to call him now, the polka dot guy. Sean, remember the polka dot guy? "Hey, I bought polka dot because of you." And I'm not a financial advisor. You buy it because of your damn self, not me. But then he goes, "I bought polka dot because of you, but my wife is mad because we've lost so much money." And I go to him, "Did you sell?" And he said, "No." And I go, "Well, then you haven't lost any money. Now it's up 40%. By the way, does that guy check back in with me to say, "Hey, my wife and I apologize. Polka dot's up 40%. It's probably headed in the right direction. Thank you"? No, right? Because remember what we've always talked about on the show, right? The minorities are usually the loud ones. Okay, that's usually what it is, right? The complainers are usually the loud ones. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of the way it goes. People don't take the time to compliment; they take the time to complain. You know what I mean? And usually when there's an unhappy bunch, it's usually the minority of the group that is the unhappy bunch. They're just making a lot of noise. That's all, because most people, they don't have to do that kind of stuff. So he didn't sell. So you didn't lose anything. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, maybe that's what Fangio is old school. Like, hey, no, nothing's finalized. And he's playing. It's a game of semantics. He's agreed. His agent and him already agreed on the deal, but really hasn't signed it yet. They haven't finished out the particulars on the contract, this, that, whatever. And maybe that's the thing. Let me move a little bit this way. There we go. So I'm a little bit more centered. So anyway, just interesting stuff. We'll find out. We'll keep track of it. Listen, this will eventually this will all break out, and we'll find out what the hell happened with Fangio, and if he signs or he doesn't sign. And if he doesn't sign, then that's going to be a bad look. That's going to be a bad look. Not for the Dolphins, but for Mike McDaniel. Because then I remember I've thought that Miami was never the first option. Okay, it's because other options have failed. Like nobody really wants Sean Payton at his demands. You know what I'm saying? And then the Philly job didn't open up. So now the talk is that the San Fran job now might open up because D'Amico Ryans will go to Houston. And if that happens, then there's a defensive coordinator position open. So he goes to San Francisco. And remember, we've talked about it. His girlfriend is on the left coast in California. So that puts him there. You know, things sometimes, you know, it is what it is, as they say. All right, what do we got going on here? Manolo is in. He's the first one. Nizzle is in to Extreme. Let's see. Thank you, Manolo. We try. We try to work hard here on the platform. Always, no matter what. It's a beautiful thing. We worked hard when we worked for people that didn't appreciate it. Sean knows what that's like because he and I have been part of this business for a long time. And all they do is use your ass up and they don't appreciate anything, you know? So this actually has been the most satisfying thing I've ever done out of everything that I've done in radio. So that's the best part about all of this because this is ours. You know, this is stuff that we are building, Sean, myself, and everybody else that contributes to it. And we don't need corporate America to help us out. And we're way more productive than corporate America. So that's a good thing. All you got to do is work in life, man. I don't think that's very hard. You know, it just seems to be a lost art nowadays. John 316 is in the house. We got a John 316 in the house. Ragin is in. That's right. Early start. I'm in Mobile. Bradley Ebersol is in. What else do we have? Yeah, that's right. Chick-fil-A, baby. Duck Dog in. John Yang, Cesar Diaz. Maybe he's saying that he's out of respect for the Eagles while they still have a Super Bowl to win. You know what, Cesar? That's interesting. I never thought of that. That's a great angle, Cesar, because he might be old school. That's an old school move. Yeah. Maybe he's like, hey, I got a job to do right now. I'm not talking about the Dolphins. I'm consulting with the Eagles. We got 2 weeks of dedicated work. That's you know what, Cesar? You might be on to something, my man. You know? Because Pelissero is not a guy that just throws stuff out there to just throw it out there. I've never known him to be that guy. You know what I'm saying? There are websites like that. And there are some reporters like that too. But Pelissero is not that guy. That dude's very responsible. Very responsible. So I got to figure he's right. Cesar, damn, dude, I think you nailed it. Maybe that's what it is. Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. It's only a Mike McDaniel failure if whoever he brings doesn't work out, not because a person doesn't sign here. Right, exactly. He's the guy. Either you're coming to work for him or you're not. One of the two. He's the reason. There's no doubt. You are right. Stetson O in. Fins up 1971. Have fun down there. We will try. I mean, for me, I always have fun when I'm in these kind of situations because it's the heart of my job, you know, and it's cool to hang out with NFL people and talk to them and get some information and learn, you know, which is what I do a lot when I'm out on the road. I get to learn from the people that do this work. So for me, it's a lot of fun. Yeah. MSG is why Chick-fil-A tastes so good. Well, if they want to throw in Madison Square Garden in there, that's fine. Whatever. I guess the arena tastes good. Greater Good in. There we go. JB Blacks says Big get question answer need thanks. What? Huh? Big get question. I don't know what the hell is. Cup of coffee and mangoes are blooming, says Greater Good. Oh, I live in Destin, Florida, and it's a beautiful morning here. Hope Mobile is great too. Dude, it was foggy as hell down on the Panhandle. Like the last third of the drive on the Panhandle and into Mobile. Damn, dude, there was a lot of fog. Like what's it called? I'm brain farting on the word. What you can see ahead of you. I don't know why I'm forgetting that phrase, but it must have been like, I don't know, about a half a mile, maybe, no more than that. And it was just maybe even less than that. And it was kind of dying out on your visibility. And so the visibility was, it was thick, dude. It was thick. There was some thick ass fog yesterday coming in on I-10, man. But hey, safe trip. And that's all that matters. So we're here. We're ready to rock and roll. By the way, the Heat tonight are taking on the Cavs. Remember on Friday, I go to you, they were favored by 7.5 over the Magic. And I said, you have to take the Heat. I mean, you have to take the Magic, right? The Heat are nobody to give anybody 7.5. Like the Heat this year, I don't know what the stat is, but if you've been laying the points with the Heat, oh my God, you're losing money. You're losing money big. You have to be losing money big time. I would imagine. The Heat have been an absolute disaster if you're laying the points. Okay? Now tonight, the Cavs are favored by 5. And you know what? This is the position where I take the Heat. Because the Heat are the team that are going to surprise and beat the Cavs or barely lose with a hell of an effort. See, the Heat is one of the most, this Heat team right here, this one, let me not put the whole franchise under this crap. This specific team is a team that is not dependable at all. 0. You're a fool if you're counting on this team. They're so inconsistent, it's not even funny. They're frustrating as hell to watch. And I know tonight when I'm sitting here with my Bally Sports app watching it, I'm going to be pissed off myself. Well, maybe I'll watch it. I don't know. I might be cruising around the bars, searching for folks. So, but either way, this is the kind of game where it's the reverse. I'll take the Heat as the dog because they'll fight and they'll scratch and claw and they'll stay in there. But when it's a game that they've got to lay the points, I'm not talking about a half a point or 1 point or one, but I'm talking about, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10 points. I'm like, get the hell out of here. I'm taking the other side. I don't trust this bunch. And if you took the Magic on Friday, you're welcome. That's all I got to say. Tonight, I like the Heat +5 on this one, man. This is the kind of thing that I'll ride. Panthers, as you all know, are off for the All-Star game there in FLA Live Arena, which is really, really cool. Monday, they'll take on the Tampa Bay Lightning, so they'll get back in action. Tonight, UM, I don't watch a lot of college basketball. If I watch college basketball, I will watch UM. That I will, obviously. As you all know, I'm not a big fan of college basketball, but you got to love what UM is doing. And tonight they take on Vatek and Larinaga 16-5, 7-4 in the conference. They're favored by 4. The over and under is 143.5. Vatek is +150 in the money line. Miami is -175 on the money line there. So you got all of that going on. So that's some of the local stuff also in there. Need to get back to shooting threes. Yeah, but who the hell's going to do it? You don't play Duncan anymore. And it's tough, man. It is tough. Big O, do you have a priority item or person you want to address on your trip? Manolo, I'm not going to tell you who I'm going to talk to, my brother. That's not productive for me to tell you specifically who I'm trying to or how many people I'm trying to track down. Okay. I am also doing a little show business, like this show and business for the show. Also, I'm also here for that too. So that's the other thing that somebody's interested in teaming up on the show because they follow it, and so they reached out to me because they're going to be here. So that would be another thing that might end up being very productive for our show. And remember, folks, if your business wants to be a part of our platform, whether you're a national audience, a national sponsor, an international sponsor, or even a Florida or South Florida sponsor, our reach is at all levels now. We are very blessed to reach people all over the world, all over the country, all over the state, obviously dominating in South Florida. So if you want to join us, you can reach out to our business line at 786-754-4664. If your business wants to be a part of our platform, great way to market your business, great way to reach a new level of customers. 786-754-4664. And of course, we can come to you and broadcast at your business too. And that becomes like a 3-hour commercial. So please reach out to our business line. And that is not for requests. That's not to talk sports. That's only pure sales. Okay. So, because sometimes once in a while, once in a blue moon, somebody will call in and leaves a message and you can tell that they're really not about business. 786-754-4664 if you want to reach out to us. By the way, Sloman's Home Shield, a proud sponsor of our program. We love the great people at Sloman's. No Alarmo today, actually. I don't have the same rig when I'm on the road sometimes. This mic is different than the one that we have with Alarmo. And 1-800-ALARM-ME, they've been servicing Americans for over 100 years, protecting Americans, and they also keep you warm. It's kind of cold in a lot of places out there, and we're in several states. Like I said, national sponsors: California, Connecticut, New Jersey, New York, Maryland, Virginia, Georgia. You're dealing with the cold. You know exactly how much you pay for heating oil. Would you like to save money in heating oil? Maybe you'll end up saving hundreds in the long run. Well, all you got to do is call 1-866-OIL-DEAL and tell them you heard it on the Big O Show. And all you're just a phone call. You know what you pay a month, right? Compare it with them. That's it. Find out, because if you're paying less with the great folks at Sloman's, then it behooves you to make that switch and support our show and support the great sponsors that support us at Sloman's. 1-866-OIL-DEAL. That's 1-866-OIL-DEAL. Call anytime and find out what you're paying for heating oil. Compare it, and you'll probably be switching and saving yourself money. And guess what? You're welcome. All right? There you go, because I'm out to save you money. I'm out to make you money, and I'm out to save you money. Anyway, 1-800-ALARM-ME if you want to get a free doorbell camera right now, folks. Because, of course, when it comes to alarm systems, I have one in my home from Sloman's. Sean has one in his home. Hey, man, we use Sloman's. We wouldn't tell you to use Sloman's if we wouldn't use it ourselves. So if you're in Florida, California, Connecticut, New Jersey, New York, Maryland, Virginia, Georgia, we are in your state, baby. And we'll give you the free doorbell camera. And when you use our professional installation and our low-cost central station monitoring, you're also getting an LED touchscreen pad, a motion detector, 3 arm doors, and a backup battery. So if you want your free doorbell camera, call 1-800-ALARM-ME. That's 1-800-ALARM-ME. All right. What else do we have going on in the world of sports? So Purdy unfortunately suffered a torn UCL. So he'll need Tommy John surgery, 6 months. The elbow should come back stronger, actually. That's usually what happens in those cases. So it's good for him that it'll come back stronger. I don't know how much more zip he'll have on the ball. He doesn't necessarily have a gun, but you want to see this story continue to play out. When I look at the Purdy situation, look, man, I'm a Dolphins fan through and through. I don't give a crap about San Francisco or anything like that. But I don't wish injuries on players. That's no fun, dude. And here's the other thing. this is the underdog story, man. This is the ultimate all-American story. This is what we do as Americans. We love rooting for the underdog. Brock Purdy was the last pick in the draft, Mr. Irrelevant. And he had a dynamic run here. It wasn't electrifying because his numbers weren't anything impressive. But where I give the kid credit was the mental toughness that he took the hits. He made throws when he had to make them. And they didn't ask him to do a lot. But the few things you did ask him to do, he did them, and he did them well for you, right? And he didn't really turn over the ball a lot or anything like that. So he was very productive for you. Now, this could be a flash in the pan. This could be, Nick Foles. This could be Trent Dilfer. This could be, whatever. What's Anderson for Derek Anderson for the Cleveland Browns. We've seen this story before. The guy he didn't even have a good year. He had a good stretch of games. What was it, like 8 games, 9 games or something like that? So he had a nice stretch of games. He didn't even play a whole season. But maybe he's a complete fraud, and he just got on a roll. He was hot. He made the right decisions. And then, the wheels come off next year, and you see what everybody thought he was when he lasted to the 7th round. But then maybe again, he might be, not Tom Brady, because we always do that stupid shit. Like they grow on trees. The greatest quarterback of all time, they come in the 6th and 7th rounds. But maybe he does. Maybe he is a productive quarterback. Maybe he is a starter in this league. And I would hate for the poor kid's career to end on this note here. And then you have that doubt that you don't know. Could I have been a productive player in the league? Could I have been a great player in the league? Could I have become a franchise guy? I think nobody really knows, because what's it for those of you that follow the show a lot? What do I always tell you? Right? In professional sports, any athlete can have a good week, a good month, and even a good year. It's the guys that come back the following year and do it again. That's when you're the real deal. That's what Derek Anderson couldn't do. See what I'm saying? And so these are the things that I that's where that story for me kind of sours me. And I don't care about the damn Niners. I don't give a shit if they win no games next year. Okay? Nothing personal, Niners fans. But I don't want to see the poor kid's story end that way. I'd like to find out, and also for him, right? Because you never want to know what if. And I would suggest that to everybody in life. Don't ever, if you have an opportunity to go after your dreams, then go after them. It's better to fail going after your dream than never going after it and never knowing whether you could succeed or you could fail. You know what I'm saying? And that to me is incredibly important. It's what gives you closure and then allows you to turn the page too. Because even if you fail, then you can deal with the failure, right? And then move on to something else. And maybe the next thing that you want to do is what you succeed. But if you're afraid of going after your dreams, it's gut-wrenching. It's one of those things that will haunt you for the rest of your life. So as I would suggest to anybody, go after them, man. That way you leave no regrets whatsoever when it's all said and done, which I don't think any of us want to walk out of this earth with a whole bunch of regrets. You want to try, we're all going to have them because life is long enough and you're going to do things that you're going to regret in life and you're going to wish moments you had back and all that. But you definitely got to chase them. That's for sure. Anyway, what else do we have to talk about in the world of sports? Let me see if I got any questions out there. Do you think it's the Pats' fault for the roster's lack of talent, or it's the owner or Jimmy wanting Lowry? I think it's multi-layered is what it is. It's it's a great franchise that wants to win badly, right? And remember what I talked about yesterday a little bit. They kind of get drunk a little bit too much on their own players. And sometimes they end up paying money for guys that aren't really worth the kind of money that they thought they were when they gave them that cash. And then they get into a deal that they end up regretting. And it's happened a bunch now. And then I think Riley, hate to say it, but he's gotten a little softer in his older age. And one of the things that I don't like about what's happened in the last 10 years is that he has succumbed more to players than ever. And I don't think you can do that. I don't think you can ever allow a player to run your organization. They don't have the interests, the best interests of your team. They have the best interests for themselves at that moment. They don't give a shit about the ramifications. They don't care that if you screw up the Shabazz Napier pick, then you ruin that opportunity. You know what I'm saying? And they don't care if you sign Lowry and then it doesn't work out. Well, then, okay, it's not working out. Well, then I got to pace myself now. I got to take off half the season. So now you're getting hurt in the regular season because the guy you signed is this guy's best friend. And so now you've got to walk this tightrope because now you're pissed off at one guy, but you can't piss off your main star. And so I think the Heat have allowed themselves to get involved in too much drama that they don't need to get into. Whereas Riley was way more cutthroat back in the day. And I think that this franchise is not nearly as cutthroat as it used to be. And then you have an owner that is a great owner. There's no doubt that the Harrison family is great ownership. But they put a cap on how far they're willing to take chances. And that also doesn't help out. I mean, the fact you're playing without a 15th man is insulting to your front office. Why? Because you're looking to save a couple bucks. You're a billionaire. I'm sorry, dude. That part is also unacceptable. So that's why I tell you it's multi-layered. You know, I can blame Riley for things. I can blame Harrison for things. I can blame the team for things. The guy I really can't blame is Spo. Because I don't think he's the one making the final decisions on this stuff. I think he just coaches what he has. And, you know, that part I can't blame Spo for. I can't blame Spo if the owner doesn't want to spend and tells you got to, you know, what's this deal with sticking with Udonis Haslem? Okay, so you're the front office. You know your owner is drawing a line on the cheap part. And he is being cheap, by the way. Let's not dance around this. You're a billionaire and you don't want to have a 15th man because you're worried about going over the salary cap and being a tax team. Oh, please kiss my ass on that. You know, don't. No, not doing that. Not going there. And so you're the front office. And you know your owner doesn't want to pay for a 15th guy. So why are you going to keep the 14th guy in UD that really isn't the productive player you need him to be? He's just kind of a figurehead and I get it that UD is there to rattle cages. That's not really what Spo does. UD's there more to be the rah guy. That's really not what Spo is. Spo is more of a cerebral type coach. So it's different. You know, he's not going to sit there and give you a rah-rah speech and stick his head inside an ice bucket for, 3 minutes. And everybody thinks, oh, my God, is Riley dead? And then he comes out and says, you see, you bastards? I can hold my breath under a bucket of ice for 77 minutes. And you all thought I was dead. Now go out there and kick their ass. That's not what Spo's going to do. And so there's a lot of layers to why the Miami Heat are in the pickle that they're in right now. God, what an old man word that is. Pickle. What else do we have? FAU 21-1. Hoot hoot. Big O, say what you want about the Magic. They beat the Sixers last night. And that doesn't mean anything, bro. Regular season wins don't mean shit. They might mean something to a sorry ass team like the Magic, because any kind of victory for them is good, because they're not going to really have any kind of success overall as a franchise because they're a bad franchise. But a regular season victory, that don't mean shit, dude. Get to the playoffs and like make some noise in the playoffs and things like that. Then I'll be impressed with the Magic. Till then, whatever. You know, it is what it is. What else do we have? Showtime change, okay. Yes, exactly, Earl. The show changed. From now on, every day it's at 8 a.m. Okay, every day for the next several years. We've changed it all. 8 a.m., sir. So be ready. Wake up at 8 a.m. every day of the week, and you'll see us here. Guaranteed. What else do we have? Manolo says, do you think Pat's softening was due to the failure to re-sign LeBron? No. I think it's just part of getting old. I think as we all get older, we kind of soften up a little bit. You know, I think we become a little bit more emotional. You find yourself crying in movies more, and you're like, wait a minute, I didn't do this in my 20s and 30s and 40s. You know, that kind of stuff. Yeah, I think so. Remember, as you get older, you come to the realization that you've lived most of your life. And you know that now you're on the back end. You know what I'm saying? And then you don't know when the back end is going to end. You know? So I think that naturally ends up, creating that layer of where you kind of lose your edge, and you're not really the same hard ass that you used to be when you thought life was forever. And so you start to maybe appreciate things a little bit more than you did decades prior, when you were all, piss and vinegar. And I think that's just part of aging. I think, unless you're an old curmudgeon, then you were probably a curmudgeon before. It just got worse as you got older, if that's who you are. But that's not who Riley was. And so I just kind of see a softening of everything. And then the other thing is, you want to close out strong your career run with the Heat. You want to leave on a high note. So then you'll be a little bit more desperate to do things. Yeah, maybe I shouldn't be a hard ass. Maybe I should cater to the player. But here, how has catered for the player helped out? Shabazz Napier, did that help out? Kyle Lowry, did that help out? No. So why are we catering the players? Oh, Mike Miller. Oh my God, he got mad because they traded away a broken down Mike Miller. These were the reasons why he left, his pettiness, because he wants to run the franchise. You know what I mean? By the way, he wanted Russell Westbrook. He and AD pushed Pelinka and Bus to go get Russ. And then when they got him and they found out it doesn't work, and then this passive aggressive bullshit that comes from LeBron, LeBron makes me sick. I'm so over that guy. I want nothing to do with that guy at all. See, I got a little bit more pride than some fans out there. And to me, it's just, I'd rather go about it without that asshole than with that asshole. I don't care how good he is. I just hate his, wussy ass ways. For a guy that's so big and strong and intimidating, why the hell is it that everything is passive aggressive? You got any balls to just man up and face somebody and talk to them and say it straight up? I find that to be some cowardly ass shit from a guy that's 6'8", 260. You know what I'm saying? It's like Jonathan Martin. Oh, they're bullying me. Get the hell out of here, you wuss. You're 6'3", 325. They're pushing you around and you're just a freaking wussy is what you are. You know what I mean? So to me, it just, LeBron is not one of those guys that I don't care that he's gone, dude. In fact, on his way out, put your foot right up his ass and get out of here, bro. You know what I'm saying? I don't want people like that. I wouldn't want to work with a pussy like that. Let's just call it like it is. I just wouldn't want to work with a guy like that. I'd rather work with somebody, completely honest here. I'd rather work with somebody that at least looks me in the eye and says, hey, I disagree with you. I think you're wrong. I respect that at least. Because then I can look back and say, okay, am I wrong? Well, did I make the wrong? Okay. But this passive aggressive stuff, I find that to be some of the most cowardly shit that there is in the world. You got a problem with somebody, like this is the way I've carried my life. I got a problem with you. I'm going to fucking tell you that I got a problem with you. I don't care if you're my boss. You can ask all my bosses. Okay? You can ask every one of my bosses. All right? If I had a problem with them, I told them. Okay? So to me, it doesn't matter. I don't care who it is. My best friend, my wife, I don't care who it is. I'm going to tell you if I have a problem with you. I'm not going to dance around it. You know what I mean? So to me, I don't know. Riley's gotten a little soft. The organization's a little too conservative when it comes to the look at Stephen Ross. Does that guy flinch? And I know he's a complete bonehead. I know he knows nothing about football, and he should never be a part of any kind of football decision. He is only good to write checks, but man, he's willing to write a check. And at least that's what your owner should be there for. Write a check. Now get the hell out of the way. Let the football people do the football stuff and all that. And Mickey should be writing more checks for Pat Riley and making his life a little easier and making Spo's life a little easier. In the end, Spo is stuck with Lowry, stuck with Whiteside, stuck with Tyler, stuck with James Johnson, stuck with Dion Waiters, stuck with a broken down Goron, stuck with, Bosch in and out with blood clots, all that stuff. Everything. It's been a pain in the ass for all of them. And so that's the guy I feel bad for. Spo has to deal with all of this. And he's the guy that probably has the least say in all of this. Because he just says, we have enough. Love that guy. Love Spo, man. God, he is good, bro. He is and he's a rock. Man, he's a rock. I gotta say. So there you go. That's my answer. It's multi-layered, the problem with the Heat right now. And having said all that, they were one shot away from getting to the finals. The bubble was, I tell you, if Bam was healthy and Goran stayed healthy, something might have happened there. That's all I can tell you. So, big old times have changed. Cutthroat does not work anymore in sports. Okay. I disagree with you on that, but that's fine. I think cutthroat definitely works in sports. You know what I mean? I think what you have to do is get people that can handle cutthroat. Try not to put people on your team that are emotional cripples. Try to put people on your team that are tough-minded, tough skin, thick skin, shall I say. Tough-minded, thick skin. I think it does work in certain situations. Yeah, I really do. But we'll see. We'll see how it all works out. What else do we have? I was so disgusted seeing LeBron lose it after that. Yeah, LeBron's a big ass baby, dude. Seriously. He's just a big ass wuss, is what he is. That's it. There's nothing more than that. It's like he acts like a spoiled child, is what he acts like. That's what I see from the guy. And the way he acted the other day, men don't act like that, dude. Men don't act like that. That's just not the way you go about it. That's this new wave of this generation now. This Generation Z and this generation. What's the new one? No, he's a millennial, and then a Generation Z. Yeah, that's crap from those eras, not from our era. Definitely not. Let's see. Well, he is 1-0, been one since he has come into the league. Let's be real. Always. He's always been like that. I know that. I've always hated that passive aggressive BS. To me, that's absolute garbage. By the way, we got a big old game coming up, and it's called the Super Bowl. When sports and business collide, guess what? We like doing something called the KSDT CPA Sports Business Report. All right, looks like Phoenix is going to win big time. They're about to bring in hundreds of millions of dollars when the Eagles take on the Chiefs at State Farm Stadium on February 12th. And remember, they had the Super Bowl there 8 years ago. I was there for that. And in 2015, they had more than 121,000 visitors to the Phoenix area, and it brought about $720 million of economic impact to Arizona. And they only expect around $600 million in 2023. Anthony Evans, senior researcher at Arizona State, expects an 80 to 90% of around 100,000 people who attend Super Bowl events will be from out of town. The research, by the way, does not account for local residents and what they spend. One distinction from the 2015 edition is the Pro Bowl. This year, the game will be held at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas, Nevada, where it was also held in Phoenix when the Super Bowl was in 2015. So you had the back-to-back weeks there, and that's probably why you had more money and more people in there. And by the way, they've amended the Clean Zone Ordinance, which requires businesses, properties, and owners and residents to get approval from Super Bowl host committees and NFL to post temporary signs before and after the game. City Council also removed the league and the committee from the decision-making process after a lawsuit by Bramley Powlin. And can I get to this thing? Damn it. All right, here we go. There we go. That argued ordinance of violation of free speech. So there'll be some other things going on over there, but they're expecting less money because of the Pro Bowl. Interesting. Only one. Remember, the Pro Bowl's in Vegas this year, not in the site where the Super Bowl was. And it's kind of a shame that the Pro Bowl was moved out of Hawaii. And I know that attendance was bad. It was expensive. and players were going basically for a vacation, taking their families. That's kind of what they were doing. And so now, I mean, they've lost everything. Remember, they used to have the Hula Bowl and all that. We stopped doing a lot of things over there in Hawaii. By the way, when are we going to do? We need to get a Tua Train Love show over there in Hawaii. Sean and I need a trip to Hawaii. We gotta get a sponsor to get us out to Hawaii, by the way, because that we got to do that. But what a shame that we don't do a lot of those things anymore. The Pro Bowl there, the Hula Bowl, all that other stuff. And let me tell you, they eliminated the Hula Bowl years ago, but since I've been doing these off-season things, that would have been one that might have been interesting just to visit. Hey, honey, I'm going to Hawaii for the Hula Bowl. Huh? Yeah, I would have gotten that eye from her, like, what? Hawaii? And I'm not going? You know, that kind of stuff. Anyway, Jamie Zorria is in. He says, good morning, Big O, Sean, and Fins Nation from San Jose, California. There we go. Jamie's probably freaking out, going, man, you guys are on early as hell. Sean, you got them links, right? You got Ira and Kurt links? Okay, good, because I have not sent them anything there. Big O, why are college QBs coming out of college at 24 years old when they used to be 23 and under? I don't know, dude. Maybe they're failing school or something. Maybe they're repeating grades. Maybe they're starting late. I don't know, man. I don't know. I know what you're saying because Skylar's old. The kid that just got arrested, got arrested for drunken disorderly. What's his name? Harrison or whatever. He just got arrested. He's like 24, 25. But that's always been the case. You always have a couple. What is it?
Stetson Bennett.
Stetson Bennett. That's it. That's the kid. And so that's another guy people were talking about in the draft. And he might have fallen a couple spots now because of that. I mean, in the end, I don't think it's really going to affect him that much. You know, it is what it is. Let's see. It was reported that Dolphins' new radio deal is looking for Hawaii affiliates. They are of course, it makes sense. No NFL team has territorial rights to Hawaii. What team in the NFL is better to have territorial rights right now for Hawaii than Tua Tagovailoa and the Miami Dolphins? There are other players from the islands. Don't get me wrong now. There are other players in the NFL from the islands. But like Tua, no. And that would be absolutely genius. By the way, Hawaii is in, I think, usually, I want to say, in the top 20, 30 of our cities download. We have a lot of listeners from Hawaii that listen to this platform. And obviously, I get it. You know, I'm pro Tua, so they're probably listening because they're not going to hear all the stupid shit that they hear in other places about Tua. So I get it. You know what I mean? But we have a lot of listeners in Hawaii. And that is, I always look at that place like those people live in heaven. You know what I mean? That place just looks just absolutely awesome. Big O, I'm right across the bay from Mobile and hope to see you at the game this week. I will not be at the game. You're over in Daphne? Is that where you're at? I am not. I won't be at the game. I'm gone Thursday. I'm only here for the practices, and then I'm out of here. I used to get here on Sundays and leave either Sunday after I did the game broadcast, or if I didn't do the game, then I would leave on Friday, stay the night in New Orleans, hang around Bourbon Street, and then fly out Saturday morning. That's usually what I used to do. But now I don't do that anymore. I don't hang around anymore. Not this week, not this year at least. I'm popping in for the practices and then hanging out where all the main NFL people are at. And they all leave by Thursday anyway. Very few stay. Every team leaves a scout for the game. But that's about it. And then you have the coaches for each team also there. But by the time Saturday rolls around, very few NFL people are left. They all leave by Thursday. And so I am gone on Thursday. Friday, we're going to be at Accurate Pembroke Pines. No, I'm sorry. We'll be at Hialeah Park. I'm sorry. Hialeah Park, 3 to 6 on Friday, because normally it's Thursday. We pushed it to Friday. So kind of the same thing that we're doing here, that I'll drive back on Thursday and then I'll be on Friday. How about that? There you go. Bookend this week with a drive to and from Mobile, Alabama. Who else is going to do that? Nobody. Nobody's that crazy. There we go. Karen says, I'm working on territorial rights in India for my fellow Indian fans to enjoy the Dolphins, all three of us. There you go. Mr. Bonafide says, no, I'm in Pensacola, but if you're going to do media at all, try to come by and say hi. Well, actually, I may go to Pensacola, and you gotta DM me on Twitter, because we got a couple listeners, and maybe Dougie Fresh. I got to go see Dougie Fresh over in Pensacola. So either tomorrow night, I might go over to Pensacola, and Dougie, you got to pick a bar and DM me where you want to meet at a bar tomorrow. So I'll shoot over there and have a beer with you and have some fun. We're not signing Brady. Yeah, well, I'm glad you caught up to what we reported weeks ago. 2 months ago, we reported that Odyssey lost the rights to Clear Channel for the Dolphins. Now's when it's coming out. We reported several weeks ago that they were going with Tua, and Schefter had it a couple days after us. We told you there was no Brady, but then after this weekend, well, they're not going after Brady. Well, yeah, that's because we told you they weren't going after Brady. Oh, Lordy. Some of you out there, man, it's just whatever. It's all good in the hood, as they say. Where are we at? All right, let's bring the boys aboard. Let's see what they've got brewing for the next hour. Good morning, gentlemen from Mobile, Alabama.
Good morning from 18 degrees, Cleveland, Ohio. This sucks.
Kurt, I'm home. I'm comfortable in home, man. Sorry.
What's the temperature there in the LA area?
It's going to be chilly today and in the low 60s.
F both of you, and I will leave it at that.
70.
Yeah.
70.
Nice.
70. I pulled into Mobile last night. I'm like, I'm in my T-shirt. And I'm like, all right, this is awesome. But apparently we get 83% chance of rain on Thursday. So, the only problem is when it's cold rain. That's a bitch. And then when you're on the Gulf here, so sometimes the wind comes in and then it's just sideways cold rain, and you're like, damn, son of a bitch. It's.
You know what? Oh, but it's actually interesting because when they have the combine in Indianapolis, it's indoors, it's uniform conditions and perfect. There might be something to be said about seeing players perform, getting ready for the pros in bad weather, because as we know, there's plenty of it during the season also when it comes to weather. So maybe something to be said for that. For today's show, it's going to be a big trade deadline preview, because by the time we're back on next Wednesday, it's going to be within 24 hours, roughly 30 hours of the deadline. So I'm going to go over with Kurt some possibilities, some Heat possibilities. I know you've already been on the chat board, Big O, but if anyone wants to chime in with their thoughts, we'll be glad to. So keep that chat board open, folks, and we're going to go deep dive Miami Heat, NBA, the February 9th trading deadline.
Are you guys going to talk about crying LeBron?
Not when he's right. You know what? I think the problem is it's like the boy who cried wolf. It's when he cries when he's not right.
The way he went about it is really, I know he's right. He did get fouled. He should have that should be called 100 out of 100 times.
Egregious. So that's the difference. I you know what? I'm not going to complain about this one, because when he's spot on and when the referees issue an apology after it, I think you got to give him some grace on this. To me, the moment of the weekend was not LeBron laying prone for a minute. It was Pat Beverly bringing the camera onto the court.
Look, it's here. Come on, it's here. Come on.
That's it. He got a technical for yelling last night, and it was disappointing. There were no props. There was nothing. It was just him yelling. That's not good enough anymore.
Yeah,
you got to have props.
Meanwhile, I was thinking, imagine if he did that before time expired in regulation and the technical ended the game at that moment. That would have been something also. So Pat Bev got a little bit of reprieve, but I don't think he's going to get a reprieve maybe when it comes to the trading deadline. So the Lakers might have to find a new prop guy. Kurt and I will get into that as well.
All right, let's do it. One hardcore hour of Miami Heat and NBA talk is coming your way, baby. Red Recover, 50% off all pads right now. Take advantage. Go to redrecover.com. You're dealing with a pain, an old injury, an old surgery, scars, you name it. Redrecover.com, 50% off. Ira and Kurt, next.
Hey guys, this is Hayden Hurst, NFL tight end. I'm partnering today with Red Recover. We're going to run you guys through some drills. I started using Red Recover last year, my 4th year in the NFL. It just helps me on Mondays after games, get my recovery process started, get back into the fold of the week, and get ready for the following Sunday. If you want to recover like me, use Red Recover.
The viewpoint statements or beliefs expressed on the following program by the host, guests, or callers are not necessarily the opinions of FantasyAccess.com, Media Group Inc. ownership, management, sponsors, or website. NBA fans, it's time for the RedRecover.com Inside the Paint Show with Ira Winderman and Kurt Heelan. RedRecover.com helps pros and everyday warriors heal on the go with our medical-grade, highly specialized devices designed for each area of the body. Use code BIG-O to get a 10% discount. Let's hit the hardwood with some of the best insiders in the NBA. Here's Ira Winderman and Kurt Heelan.
And welcome in for our weekly, usually on Wednesdays, today on Tuesday, because of my travel schedule, redrecover.com Inside the Paint. I'm Ira Winderman from the South Florida Sun Sentinel here in 18-degree Cleveland. He's Kurt Heelan of Pro Basketball Talk, NBCSports.com, in the sunnier Los Angeles area. And Kurt, we are 9 days away from the February 9th NBA trading deadline. Some rumors heating up. Your Lakers already made a deal. The Rui Hachimura deal. A lot more being talked about. I sort of especially, I think this is important because I know that Heat fan and Heat Nations wants to trade everyone and expecting mega deals. Kurt does a lot of pulling together a lot of the rumors around the league, separating the fact from the fiction. Kurt, from what you could tell going into this year's deadline, one, are you hearing more chatter than usual? And your expectation is of a lot of what we're seeing or of a little bit less? Where do you think the trading deadline will take us this year?
It's funny. I was just talking with an executive last night, and he's like, chatter's picked up. Like the level of talk around the league is kind of, we'll call it normal levels. Like it is when you get this close to the trade deadline, everybody's talking, but nothing's gaining traction. Like I think we're headed toward kind of a dud trade deadline. I think, and I'm sure we'll talk about this, the Toronto seems to be the one everybody's watching. If Toronto gets involved and Van Fleet becomes involved, which is important in Miami, but also would they trade Siakam? Would they? OG Anunoby has a bunch of suitors lined up. Then it gets interesting. But if they don't jump in, Jay Crowder could be the best player moved. Jay Crowder hasn't played a minute this year.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. You know, I think what's changed the NBA trading deadline is the play-in tournament.
Yes.
Because when 20 of 30 teams advance beyond the end of the regular season, think they have a puncher's chance of getting to that number 7 or 8 seed by winning 1 or 2 games, everyone is still in it more. I think it's one of the best things the league has done. On one hand, I think it's one of the worst things the league has done because it really dilutes the playoffs that everyone is in. I mean, no league has 2/3 of their teams still having a chance for the playoffs. So I think that dilutes the playoffs. But I think right now you have teams, even in Oklahoma City right now, even the Orlando Magic right now, looking at number 10 or something higher and saying, hey, they have a chance. The Western Conference, Steve Kerr addressed this last night, is absolutely bananas. I mean, I think between it's like 3rd and 11th or 3rd and 12th, it's like 2 games apart. I mean, you can make that kind of jump. The Lakers are there. The Suns, for all their losses, are still hanging in there. Like I mentioned, the Thunder is still there. So I think that does things. But I will say this. It used to be teams would wait more for free agency because they would hoard cap space and think this is their year. I think teams would almost rather get bird rights to players when they're over the cap in February and then know it's their player to re-sign or not. So I do think there's a lot of divergent factors. Anyway, that sort of sets up where the trading deadline might or might not head. But what I really want to get into here, and please hit us up on the chat board today, is a Heat perspective. Earlier in the show, we'll go national a little bit later. Then we will look at where the Heat stand also, the horrible loss in Charlotte. I'm doing everything I can not to talk about that. Here I'm thinking, okay, my accurate Pembroke Pines report with Big O on Monday. I'll talk about a win there. Talk with Kurt on Tuesday at RedRecover.com inside the paint. Not so much good things right now. That's why I'm turning it. Kurt, I want to start here. We're hearing a name out here a lot, and it's been reported, and he's discussed it to a degree also, and I don't understand it. When I look at Kyle Lowry and the way he's playing right now, I do not see a player that I would covet externally. I do not see a player that I would covet externally when I also know he's due almost $30 million next season. Yet you cover a team in the Clippers whose point guard play has been so bad that maybe we're talking about desperate measures for desperate times. I've seen a lot of scuttlebutt about Kyle, Minnesota, the Clippers, some other places. Kurt, give me your thoughts. I know you had a chance to catch some of the Heat game on Sunday as well against Charlotte. Kyle Lowry, is he still a thing?
He's still a thing in the sense that he's for teams desperate for better point guard play, like the Clippers, where Kawhi Leonard is nudging management going, hey, we could use a point guard. I'm like, and we can get into, aren't you supposed to be the point guard later? They are at a point where Lowry actually is an upgrade. They would take it that they're using Terrence Mann, a guy who should be a 3 at the point right now because he's their best option. I think Minnesota's sort of the same way. The D'Angelo Russell, remember Karl Anthony Towns pushed for D'Angelo Russell. He wanted him there.
Right.
Looks really good right now. They would love to move on for them. And I think for the Clippers in particular, but even a little bit in Minnesota, they'll take the money. I mean, Lowry for D'Angelo Russell's not a huge add-on and money doesn't matter to Ballmer. So I think there's a limited number of places where there's interest. I can tell you with the Clippers, he's not on the top of their list because of how he's played. He's kind of the fallback, but it's not out of the question.
And that's interesting because you mentioned fallback. We're thinking about the same player. So I think what's going to impact the Kyle market, if there is a Kyle market, if the Heat want to trade Kyle, is the sort of name you didn't mention, but did mention, and that's Fred VanVleet.
Yeah.
There's something I've never fully understood when it comes to NBA trades, which is the trading of a player young enough, who's a cog you can build around, who's shown to have had championship success. In other words, last summer, I looked at the Spurs and I said to myself, they were a young team trying to develop players. Isn't that what DeJounte Murray is? Even if he was due a contract to do a raise and said they traded him for more draft picks and cycle through. Okay, a little bit different situation. Fred VanVleet, unless I'm missing something, Kurt, and you've seen stuff I haven't, is still really good at a position of major need around the NBA with a team, unless I'm missing something in Toronto, that doesn't have a replacement option. It's not like, okay, the Toronto Raptors trade Fred VanVleet because they know player X is in the pipeline. I don't see player X in the pipeline there. Wrap my head around a little bit. Why is Fred VanVleet, other than heading into free agency, why is he so apparently available?
I think you just nailed it. I think part of it is they're not sure they can re-sign him. Chris Haynes from Yahoo Sports talked the other day about this, and this rumbling's been out there. You may have heard it. Not everybody's happy in Detroit. I mean, in Detroit. Probably not in Detroit either, but in Toronto. That everybody's 6'8", and we've got all these switchable guys, and we're just going to run this thing at you. It seems to be wearing, and they're not only not winning, but it's worn on guys a little bit. That's why there's Nick Nurse rumors, which seems
crazy,
stunningly ludicrous to me. Like, he's a very good coach, but when you're losing that much, nobody's happy. And I think that's part of it. They're like, if he's not happy and he's a free agent and just decides I'll take a little less to be, because I think that's a concern around the league in general, right? Isn't it, Ira? The players make so much now. Like, your league average salary is going to be over $10 million. And for a guy like VanVleet, who's a quality starting point guard, and we're talking 25, 30 a year, I might give up a few million to be in a place I'd rather be because the money's so huge. I think that if they don't think, I think if he becomes available, it's simply the free agency thing. They don't think they can bring him back.
Well, and if that's the case, obviously he's light years, in my view, ahead of Kyle Lowry, because the fact is, Kyle Lowry has one of those $30 million years on his deal anyway. So if Fred VanVleet's going to re-up for 5 years, that's 1 year that offsets what Kyle would make, and then you just have the other 4 years. So I totally get that. And then I see that Fred VanVleet's linked to the Heat, and it makes sense. He's an upgrade on Kyle Lowry. I can get all of that. The Raptors wouldn't take Kyle Lowry back, would they? That would be totally opposite of where they are right now, correct? Trying to get younger, trying to move in a different direction, having almost helped facilitate Kyle Lowry going to the Heat in the first place. Or am I missing something?
It seems odd, just like you said, the direction they want to go. He left and returning for a year, by the way. Like you said, he's got another year on his deal. He's not, whoever gets him for a year. Unless they're going to tear it down to the studs and move OG Anunoby and Siakam and Gary Trent Jr. I mean, just rip the whole thing apart.
Sure.
Then it doesn't make, you're right. It just, why am I bringing in Lowry? If I'm going to be terrible, then, all right, I'll pay Lowry. I got to pay somebody. And we're going to be in the lottery, but that's also never how Masai Ujiri has operated. So I'm hesitant to think that that's the direction they would go.
The other one that's intriguing to a degree is the D'Angelo Russell part of the equation there, and Minnesota clearly needing something to stabilize their very unique approach with Gobert and Karl Anthony Towns. They've been so up and down with Chris Finch as coach this season. You don't know where they're headed. I mean, they could have a good playoff seed. They could be in the play-in. They could be out of the playoffs the way the West is set up. I get all that. So I can see how you might say we need veteran point guard to stabilize and make the right play. And also, with Kyle's declining defense, you do have Rudy Gobert there as the backstop when he gets beat off the dribble. I want you to go the other way if you could a little bit, because you're more familiar with the Western Conference than I am, being based out there. D'Angelo Russell as a player, I've always thought of him as more of a 2 than a 1. I don't see him coming in necessarily as a 1, but obviously positionless Eric Spoelstra will make it work. What do you see in D'Angelo Russell? One, the way teams have constantly wanted to move off of him. What is he? Who is he? And give me just your feel. If D'Angelo Russell, forget about for who right now, were to come to the Heat, what would he be in an Eric Spoelstra system?
He's a competent playmaker. Ideally, I think you're right. Ideally, he is your secondary playmaker, and he's not. The challenge is, I think he's not always comfortable in that role. He believes he's
scorer.
He believes he should be the guy with the ball in his hands. Where if he comes to the Heat, he is option 3, option 4.
I think option 4. I think Kyle's comfortable in that.
Behind Tyler, behind
Jimmy. You know, so you have 3 right there. So I think anyone who comes in would be the number 4 option. So I don't know if that would stabilize him. The Heat's offense is horrible. 26th, 27th in the league, play with no pace. So I could see bringing anyone in who could be that type of streak scorer. So I guess it would make sense from that element. Is he a Heat player?
I'm not sure that I was getting that. I don't think he's a Miami Heat kind of guy. I don't think he's committed that way. And he's kind of a little self-serving, but he also can shoot. He can get on streaks. He can get to the bucket. He absolutely brings a skill set, but in Minnesota, it was really evident. I've been watching the game last night. They're at their best, forgetting that Towns is out and the kind of awkwardness up front. They're at their best. Anthony Edwards should have the ball in his hands. That is the guy who should be creating there. And you need a 2 there. And Russell's not totally comfortable playing the 2. And it just becomes or he wants the ball more. And I think that would be the challenge. If he comes to the Heat, he's an upgrade over where Kyle Lowry is right now. That's right. He is absolutely better than Kyle Lowry today, but long-term fit, I don't know. And I'm going to go blank off the top of my head how many years he has left off the top. I'd have to look that up, but he just doesn't strike me as somebody who's going to blend in.
He's an impending free agent.
Oh, okay.
So you have a decision, which is good and bad, which is good because you get the trial run with the player to see if it works, which is bad because the way the market is, he's going to wind up with probably equivalency or close to a Tyler Hero deal. And then you're taking on another deal long-term. So I think that's somewhat of a concern also. So it's just interesting. There's part B to all these deals. And that sort of leads me to segue to the second major name I want to get here because I don't understand as much as other people are talking about it, and that would be Duncan Robinson. And I understand that some people still could see him as a salvageable outside shooter, which everyone needs shooting, that some still see him as young enough that he can be a contributor. But Kurt, so many people are lining up Duncan Robinson as a salary, as in he will go out at $18 million this year. We could bring in a player up to $25 million or so with the 25% trade rule. He has 3 years after this year left on his contract at almost $60 million. So let me ask you this. When an outside team looks at Duncan Robinson, wouldn't you agree they not only look at what he is now, but you have to look at the remaining money also? And that's a lot to take on just to balance out a trade.
Yeah, it is. It's just, he is at this point, isn't he more contract than player, which is unfortunate because I think there are a lot of teams who would be like saying exactly what you said, which is, hey, maybe if we get him out of Miami and put him in our system and use him this way, it just, the fit is better. Team X needs shooting, and well, probably 29 teams need shooting. Like Team X needs shooting. If we bring in Duncan Robinson, we can find a place for him. But he is making a lot of money for the next 3 years, even as the cap goes up and this seems less painful. I guess if I would put it this way, if you're a team thinking playoffs in the next couple of years, that becomes a lot of salary to take on for a guy in that role.
No, I agree. But I also think there are teams that might say to themselves, you know what? We're not going to get a free agent. We're not going to be able to even sign someone that at least he can give us this kind of shooting. So we were at the game the other day. Orlando was in town on Friday, and I just spitballed a trade out there. And I said, you look at the Magic box scores, and one thing really noticeable to me is Terrence Ross doesn't play anymore. And they understand you have Banchero, you have your younger players, Wendell Carter Jr. I get that. And they're trying to find some rhythm with Markelle Fultz in their backcourt. But Terrence Ross, who's on an expiring deal, and I look at a team like Orlando that they're not going to land free agents, at least not yet. It doesn't seem that way. So maybe they could take on a Duncan Robinson and say, hey, we need shooting. We need floor spacing with all the big men we have right now. We're not going to be able to go out and sign a shooter anyway. So I was thinking about something like maybe like Duncan Robinson and Nikola Jovic for Terrence Ross. That gives the Heat sort of the type of streak scoring that they're lacking right now. Maybe tempts Orlando a little bit. I think, Kurt, what the Heat needs, and you saw some of this in Charlotte and you've seen their struggles all year, they need that guy when it's all going to crap who can come off the bench and be selfish and be a pig and score 12 straight points and go on that streak scoring binge. Every team kind of needs that. And I think that would come with a lot less drama than, say, a D'Angelo Russell or someone who still sees star turns ahead of themselves.
Actually, that's a really good point. And they missed that because Tyler was so much that last season as a sixth man. And that stabilizing influence off the bench who can, hey, we had a rough start for whatever reason, or, it was a really good night out in Los Angeles and we're not quite at the top of our game tonight when they come you need that guy who comes off the bench sometimes and I think Brogdon's brought that to Boston this year. I think there's guys who do that and still, but yeah, he'd be Ross is an interesting fit. I guess the questions two questions. One of them for you. One of them is just where is Ross as a player right now? Because we just haven't seen him.
It's a Jay Crowder thing. It's you just don't know. Some of these guys get buried on benches because the teams are going to youth movements, so you don't necessarily know. Want to go to the chat board real quick. Chase had a whole bunch of questions here. Can't get for them all. He says, why not trade Kyle Lowry for a bag of Funyuns? I like Funyuns, so I might have to weigh that a little and try to figure what size bag
we're talking about. Like a big bag, not the little bags.
Okay, well, again, you go to 7-Eleven, you get that big bag maybe. Chase also asked, can't they use the amnesty rule for Duncan Robinson? No, that was a one-time thing when there was a new collective bargaining agreement, which there might be again going into next season.
Yeah.
So you might be able to do that, but no, the NBA has no get-out-of-jail-free card. It's not like the NHL where you can pay a player off 50 cents on the dollar of his remaining money to make him go away. You are stuck with the deal unless you can lose the deal, which is why I personally believe if the Heat do trade Duncan Robinson, it'll have to be with a sweetener, with a draft choice, maybe with Nikola Jovic, maybe with another element. Kurt, I want to go real quick because we mentioned names who aren't playing and could play. I know our break's supposed to come up. We'll go there in just a second. I saw something out there today that I don't know if it was misaggregated, which Lord knows never happens, or actually was sort of put out there legitimately and credibly. But when it comes to the Jay Crowder deal, I did see Caleb Martin's name linked. I know you're not as close, and I'll give you my thoughts first, though. My thought is Caleb Martin right now, for in the moment, is a better player than Jay Crowder because, one, he has played, even though he's dealing with a quadricep injury. Jay Crowder, you need a ramp up. It could be at least a month or so. And I think Caleb Martin, for what the Heat are trying to do, might be the better fit if his 3 comes around. Kurt Heelan, if you're the Miami Heat, would you offer Caleb Martin for Jay Crowder? 2, if you're the Phoenix Suns, is Caleb Martin enough for Jay Crowder?
Better. It might be better at this point for the Suns, just from the Suns' perspective. The offers are weaker and weaker and weaker because if I'm getting him, and he's a free agent again, he's a guy you've got to re-sign, you've got to get a free as a deal. I've only got him for 30 games for sure. I'm not giving you much. Like the offers have gotten worse and worse and worse, and they kept holding out for a first, and now they're, again, they might get a bag of Funyuns. It's not going to be that great. I'm with you though. I don't know if I put just off the top of my head. I don't know that I'd put Caleb Martin in just because again he's on an affordable deal for
3 years, $20 million. Yeah, he got that locked up.
And he's as good or better than Crowder, and you're going to pay him half as much.
And here's the thing: Jay Crowder is looking for the very deal that the Heat didn't give PJ Tucker. The 3 years, the $30 million. So if the Heat weren't going there a year ago, when I think PJ was even a better fit for the Miami Heat than Jay Crowder was, I think it gets interesting there also. Anyway, that's our Heat look at the trade deadline. I want to go around the league with some other names. And folks, if you're on the chat board, you want to throw them to the Heat, I get that also. So we will get to all of that after this break on redrecover.com, Inside the Paint.
You're listening to the redrecover.com Inside the Paint Show with Ira Winderman and Kurt Heelan. RedRecover.com's wraps and pads are designed to deliver maximum benefits with each treatment, anywhere you go. Use the code Big O to get a 10% discount.
Oh, great. You got a doorbell camera. Now you got a front row seat to your house getting robbed.
No.
And there's nothing you can do about it.
Get out of my house!
Ooh, Mom's jewelry. There goes the TV. I'm sure it'll turn up at the pawn shop.
No!
Just because you can see them, that doesn't mean you can stop them. With Slogans, you get 24-hour monitoring, a free home security system, and professional installation. Plus, a free doorbell camera.
Free?
One that'll actually work for you. It's not total security unless it's the Sloman Shield. Call 1-800-ALARM-NATE.
When you move, you need a reliable company led by passionate folks, eager to assist its customers during a transitional process that needs to be smooth. Call Essential Moving Experts at 844-368-5750 for all your local and long-distance moving needs. You can rely on Essential Moving Experts. Mention the Big O Show and get $150 off. Family owned and operated, they offer free 30-day storage, full-service moving, fully licensed, bonded, and insured. Moving was never so easy. EssentialMovingExperts.com.
Red Recover now offers a simple-to-use, professional-grade light therapy device designed to help your dog heal and live a healthier life. Red Recover emits red and infrared light therapy based on the same science that NASA developed, all in a soft, flexible housing pad powered by a convenient, rechargeable lithium-ion battery. Say yes to science and give your dog the care it deserves with Red Recover.
Welcome back to the RedRecover.com Inside the Paint program with Ira Winderman and Kurt Heelan. Go to RedRecover.com to learn more about red light with videos, blog posts, and 40 years of medical research to treat pain, inflammation, and overall well-being. Use code Big O to receive 10% off your order. Here's Ira Winderman and Kurt Heelan.
And we're back on our weekly, moved up to Tuesday this week, usually Wednesday, 9 a.m., redrecover.com Inside the Paint Show. I'm Ira Winderman from the South Florida Sun-Sentinel. in 18 degrees Cleveland, Ohio. He's Kurt Heelan in the LA area, much warmer, for Pro Basketball Talk at NBCSports.com. In our first segment, if you missed it, you can catch it on all the Big O Show podcast outlets. We talked about the Heat trade options, what they might or might not do. Want to spin it a little different direction and go around the league a little bit right now. Kurt, you mentioned this in our first segment, and usually I play this game every year. I try to figure if the Heat are going to make the playoffs in the old days, what 7 teams weren't. In the new days, what 5 teams won't, so at least you get the play-in. So in the East, we know that Charlotte and Detroit, even with the Heat losing to Charlotte on Sunday, are pretty much tanking it out of it. I would think Orlando with their young core is out of it. So I was trying to come to the other 2 teams who I figure just aren't going anywhere this season. And one of them sort of surprises me, and we spoke about it with Fred VanVleet in the first segment here. The Toronto Raptors.
Yeah.
Are they toast for the season? Are they just getting ready to move to their next iteration?
I think so. I'm with you, by the way. I had them in the top 6, frankly. I thought the Heat would be better, but I thought that this Raptor team was tough to play against. They're long, athletic, and switchable, and maybe it's not a great playoff system, but it's going to win you a lot of regular season games. Just hasn't been that way. And now there's buzz about, like Chris Haynes was talking about players being unhappy there, and the playing time minutes are funky, and Nick Nurse is in trouble. That's got all the recipe of things that there isn't some magic bullet trade that fixes it, right? Even if you want to start to shift your roster towards something more traditional, when bring in a Jakob Poeltl at center and start shifting things around. How much are you going to win this year? Like, I don't think they're much of a threat this season. I mean, maybe they're certainly going to hang around for one of those play-in spots, but I'm with you. I'm not intimidated by them.
So OG Anunoby has been the name, I think, that's been viewed as the most gettable from Toronto, the most reasonable and the most helpful. And again, I think he's a player, if you put him at the 4 for the Heat, they are markedly and demonstrably better.
Yes.
But my question to you is this, because I want to give Heat Nation sort of a sense on this. It's a good name. I would embrace him, except for one thing on the Heat end. And we spoke about this with D'Angelo Russell in our first segment also. It seems like some of the discontent from OG is that he wants to be more of a prime factor. That's a team that plays through Pascal Siakam. That's a team that plays through Fred VanVleet. That's a team that wants to, going forward, play through Scotty Barnes. 4th option. I'm not sure that changes that much with the Heat. The Heat would love to have OG Anunoby come in here and say, I'd love to be your 4th option. Then I think it works on so many levels. Switchability, being able to defend the 4, hit threes, not at a great rate, but something that he can work on, feature him a little bit more. So I get all of that. But if you're Toronto, so again, I'm having you be Masai Ujiri again for the second time in our show, if you didn't catch the first segment. When you look at the Miami Heat, honestly, Kurt Heelan, and you say, OG, you've been an OG for us. We're going to take care of you. We're going to get you. If you want to go to Miami, that's fine. Do the Heat have, honestly, in the view of Toronto management, enough, considering what Kurt Heelan of Pro Basketball Talk has heard about other teams offering Toronto?
Yeah, there's a lot of teams lining up, and it's going to take a couple of firsts, a couple of really good firsts, or maybe a third one if the Knicks really. I mean, the Knicks have a ton of firsts. Some of them are kind of heavily protected, so they're not thrilling. But you can balance the salaries out again. I think they'd probably take Duncan. That might be a team that takes Duncan Robinson back and says, "Hey, we can use him as a shooter and find a spot for him and use that in somebody else, a minimum player, whatever it takes. Maybe Jovic take 2, balance out the salaries, but you're going to have to throw in some firsts to enough firsts to entice them beyond the teams that are lining up to throw firsts at them for you. When you talk about him being a 4th offensive option, what he really brings is he is one of the best on-ball defenders in the league, point of attack defenders in the league right now. He is switchable and long, and a guy who's going to be first team all defense this year. And you put that on the perimeter with Bam, and suddenly that end of the floor looks a whole lot better.
Well, but I want to ask you that also, because we always talk about the big trade, about Pat Riley and Wales and harpooning and going big.
Yeah.
The Heat basically have their first-round pick this year they can trade, and then you get into the 26, 27, 28 realm, and a couple out there you can move, can't be consecutive years. if you're the Heat and you even throw in 1 first-round picks to an OG Anunoby deal or whatever deal we're talking about here today, Fred VanVleet, something else, you then lose your ability to package going forward. You don't have a package.
Yeah.
Sort of like the Lakers' concern, with their first-round picks and what they might or might not do or would have done if they held, kept all their picks together. So my question here being, should the Miami Heat say we're not going to do a pick package going forward? We're not going to do the Durant game again next summer? Because I think once you give up even 1 pick in a trade now, say even your 23 pick, you're sort of out of the pool play, I like to call it, for draft choices. Is OG Anunoby a good enough name to take yourself out of whale hunting down the road?
I don't see. That's the thing. I don't think he's ultimately I think he is a third best player and the defensive stopper on a really great team. If your goal is to go get another, top 20 NBA player, whatever, wherever 25, wherever you want to draw that line, then no. You're going to need those draft picks because that's kind of the cachet these days to go get those kind of players. So it's an issue. That's a really, I guess the question, and I'll ask you because this is something you're close to. I mean, this is always a team that's in it for now, in it to win it this year, in it to do it. And Anunoby makes you better now, but where does that leave you? Are you willing to do that to sacrifice the ability this summer or 2 summers from now to go after, player X who becomes available?
And again, I always look at deals this way: is where does it put you down the road for championship contention? So I'll ask you this: knowing what we know about the Celtics, knowing what we know about the Nets, knowing what we know about the Bucks, knowing what we know about the 76ers, is a core of Bam Adebayo, OG Anunoby, Jimmy Butler, and Tyler Hero a championship constantly contending team, or is it just a good team?
Well, that's a good question. My gut instinct, and just because Butler kind of plays inconsistently, is that it's on the. I'll put it this way: I put him on the second tier of contenders. If things really kind of go our way, we can do this, but we don't have a lot of margin for error in the playoffs, where I think Boston and frankly Philadelphia might be the best of the group the last few weeks.
Right.
Those kind of teams have more room margin for error. More things can actually go wrong and they'll be fine.
Yeah, no, I think that's interesting. I want to get to another name because we hear the Clippers are active. I mean, the one thing we know is Bob will spend. He couldn't give a rat's butt about the tax going forward. He has his new arena coming in Inglewood. He has his TV deal, his network. He's just, he's thinking big picture beyond tax. There's a player there that I think is the swing player in trades. And I'm just curious. I want to get Norman Powell thoughts from you as to who he is and what he is, and that if there were to be a Kyle Lowry trade, and if a Norman Powell was to be available, what is Norman Powell? Who is Norman Powell? And how does Norman Powell help or maybe just used to be someone?
You were talking earlier about the need for Miami to have a glue guy, 6th man, who comes in off the bench and can get you buckets or stabilize things. That's Norman Powell. It's a down year for 6th man of the year, frankly. There is no Tyler Hero running away with it this year. That said, he's in the mix because of what he brings off the bench. He is such a Swiss Army knife of a player who can do a little bit of everything. He defends pretty well, but he's also, hey, I can create off the dribble. I can catch and shoot threes, whatever role is needed that night. And that kind of versatility is just so hard to come by. Like, I think he would be, and by the way, a very Miami Heat style player and just a cerebral high IQ kind of player. Like, he'd be a great fit.
Do you think the Clippers would be willing to part with him in, say, a Kyle Lowry deal?
You're going to have, that's a good question. They are so desperate for a point guard that maybe, I think they realize Norman Powell is their best trade chip in a lot of ways. There's just a lot of interest in him around the league, just because of his versatility. But I don't know if they do it again. You might have to throw in a little Jovic. You're going to have to give them something maybe in addition. And it'd be interesting to see it because Norman Powell doesn't work out financially. You're going to have, the Clippers are loaded with those. They built that roster well in terms of like, they've got a bunch of guys between 19 and 12 million that they can shuffle in and out of a deal to make it work. But I think I think it'd be an interesting trade package, but if you could find a way to get Norman Powell in a Kyle Lowry deal, that would be a huge get.
Yeah, that's something that intrigues me. I want to also get to one of Pat Riley's really good friends in the NBA and a team that I thought would have done a lot more to this point but hasn't, and that's Danny Ainge, being facetious there, and the Utah Jazz. Kurt, when the season started, it was almost a poo-poo platter or a dim sum tray of pick whatever you want, take what you want, we just want draft choices. And there were so many names down the line there, from Jared Vanderbilt linked to the Heat to Mike Conley being linked, actually another very good name for the Clippers there, Kelly Olynyk being there, just all these veteran types who didn't fit the rebuild. I think Larry Markkinen is sort of settled in there as a piece of the future. Walker Kessler is settled in there as maybe just as good as Rudy Gobert after all. So they're starting to get things lined up there. Does it surprise you as this late date, 9 days from the NBA trading deadline, that Danny Ainge hasn't cashed in his chips? And the other part of that is, doesn't he have to? Isn't this what this was all about in the first place? From moving Donovan Mitchell for 3 first-round picks and 2 pick swaps to the Cleveland Cavaliers getting the youthful potential of a Colin Sexton, making the deal with Timberwolves and getting their picks. Wasn't there always a part 3 and then taking all the veterans brought in and moving them out?
Yeah.
What's going on in Utah? Why have there been crickets so far from Danny Ainge and the Jazz? And if you don't mind, take us through some of the chips that Utah has and maybe what you think might be a fit for the Miami Heat.
It's interesting. I think the winning threw them off. I don't think they expected to come out with a 10-3 to start the season, something like that.
And one of those teams right in the 3 through 12 mix in the West that they can have home court in the first round of the playoffs. They can get the number 1 draft choice. They are everywhere in that mix.
They've come back to earth since that hot start, but yes, they are good enough. And Lowry, you're right. Markkinen has settled in, and the ownership there loves Jordan Clarkson, who was one of those guys we thought would be on the move, and it may not now. Just like they may just live with it and try to win some. If they make the postseason, they'll be ecstatic as fans and as ownership. But I'm with you. It kind of, and where are you going with the team led by Lauri Markkinen? You're okay. You're fine. You're in the middle of the pack.
I'm going to interrupt you here for a second because that's another name. Jordan Clarkson would help the Heat with his offense also, wouldn't it?
Oh yeah, Jordan Clarkson's a former 6th man of the year who's just a microwave off the bench.
Who could literally fill the Tyler Hero role that they've been looking to fill all season. Again, the Heat could offer a first-round pick. They could offer Nikola Jovic. They could offer matching salaries there also and get something done. It's almost like Danny Ainge could solve the Heat's problems, which is never something you would have thought you would hear with the words Danny Ainge and Pat Riley together.
Yeah.
But they've got to move. So let me put it to you this way, because we're up against another break in a couple of minutes here.
Okay.
Is this: the Utah Jazz will do something, right, Kurt Heelan?
Yes, there's a lot. Starting with the aforementioned Clippers and their point guard issues. Mike Conley is at the top of their list as the guy they want to bring in. The other guy getting a lot of buzz out of there is Malik Beasley, who's another one of those, can do a little bit of everything, shoot the 3 wings. So one or both of them will be on the move, but you're right. It's been a really quiet out of, maybe that's just because Danny Ainge is good at this, and Utah's never been a leaky organization, frankly. Much leakier now, frankly, than it was. The previous organization was just crickets. Right. I don't know. Maybe they've got something coming, but Danny Ainge can't have built this team to be stuck in the middle, right? Like
and just the fact that
I don't get it.
They moved Mitchell, they moved Gobert, they moved Bogdanovich, they've moved to the future, and yet they have these guys that I don't think are future pieces. I mean, especially a guy like a Mike Conley Jr., who, you're right, I think if Mike Conley Jr. goes to the Clippers, he might be contending for a championship this season. It might be the ultimate carrot to throw a player. I think he has more in his tank. Real quick, I know you hate when I do this, more in his tank right now to help a team. Kurt, you've just been named general manager of the Clippers. We've moved Lawrence Frank out. If you had a choice between Kyle Lowry or Mike Conley Jr., which direction are you going?
Conley. Yeah, Conley's just a better player right now.
And I would think so also. So I've tried to set up sort of some of the Heat possibilities there for the trade deadline. We will have one more show next Wednesday, a day before the trade deadline. I think we'll probably have some deals, or at least strongly rumored, about to happen next week. So we'll get back to that. But after this break on redrecover.com Inside the Paint, I want to get into a couple of things. So, Kurt, I'll give you about 90 seconds to prepare your notes. All-Star reserves named tomorrow. Where did Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo stand? Look at the standings right now. The play-in, the Heat very tenuous in number 6. The loss to Charlotte didn't help either. Where we think the Heat might land, what they have to do so they don't land in that spot. So we'll get to standings. We'll get to All-Stars. We'll get to more of your questions on the chat board after this break on redrecover.com Inside the Paint.
You're listening to the redrecover.com Inside the Paint Show with Ira Winderman and Kurt Heelan. RedRecover.com's wraps and pads are designed to deliver maximum benefits with each treatment, anywhere you go. Use the code Big O to get a 10% discount.
There's no need to drive around South Florida wasting valuable time looking for a new or certified pre-owned Acura. Go to the #1 volume sales dealership in the Southeast United States. Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. Purchase with pace and space in a dealership tailored to your needs. From home buying to providing that personal touch. Contact the 2020 Satisfaction Award winner Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. 888-776-5123. That's 888-776-5123. Or visit them at 15601 Pines Boulevard in Pembroke Pines. If you're a Miami sports fan, then there's only one store to go to, and that's Caneswear at Miami Fanwear in Davie. They're your one-stop shop for all your inner Miami CF, Canes, Dolphins, Panthers, and Marlins merchandise. They have hats, t-shirts, game day jerseys, and so much more. Located at 2511 South University Drive in Davie, and open 24/7 online at caneswear.com or innermiamiwear.com. Call them at 954-835-5597. Caneswear, the spot where inner Miami and all Miami sports fans shop.
Oh, great. You have a doorbell camera. Now you have a front row seat to your house getting robbed.
They're breaking into my house!
Ooh, there goes the TV. I'm sure it'll turn up at the pawn shop.
No, not the TV!
Just because you can see them, that doesn't mean you can stop them. With Slowens, you get 24-hour monitoring, a free home security system, and professional installation. Plus, free doorbell camera, one that'll actually work for you.
Get out of my house! Get out of the house!
Call 1-800-ALARM-ME.
Welcome to Red Light Therapy, a revolutionary technology perfected by NASA to aid in muscle strengthening and recovery. Red and infrared light has the capacity to penetrate deep into the cell's mitochondria, potentially leading to increased energy, faster recovery, and the optimal performance your body demands. Train, fight, recover.
Welcome back to the redrecover.com Inside the Paint program with Ira Winderman and Kurt Heelan. Go to redrecover.com to learn more about red light with videos, blog posts, and 40 years of medical research to treat pain, inflammation, and overall well-being. Use code Big O to receive 10% off your order. Here's Ira Winderman and Kurt Heelan.
And we're back for our third and final segment on this week's redrecover.com Inside the Paint. I'm Ira Winderman from the South Florida Sun Sentinel here in Cleveland. He's Kurt Heelan from Pro Basketball Talk and NBCSports.com out in the Los Angeles area. Usually we're on Wednesdays, 9 a.m. This week I had to move it up to Tuesday because of my travel tomorrow. Off to New York, hopefully warmer than 18-degree Cleveland. If you missed either of our first two segments, you can catch them on any podcast outlet for the Big O Show. Big O will be back at the top of the hour talking Senior Bowl and Tua, and well, maybe the Dolphins actually will have a defensive coordinator formally today. We'll find that out later, top of the hour. Kurt, before we went to the break, we were talking about a couple of things. Heat, where they are in the standings, all-star reserves announced tomorrow. The ballots are already in, so tonight's game won't factor into that. Conference coaches had to vote for, we know the 5 starters for each conference had to vote for at least 3 more front court players, 2 more backcourt players, and then 2 players at any position. And it's interesting because I've seen this presented both ways, Kurt, so I'll throw this to you first. Of the Heat's most likely candidates, I don't have Tyler Hero in there this year. Bam Adebayo and Jimmy Butler, I've seen different guys. John Hollinger went one way. Some other people have gone another way. The most deserving between Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo, from your perspective, if you had a ballot, if you were filling it out as a coach, which one would you have higher on your list of East front court players?
By the way, Ira, I love the fact that you want to go to New York in February and hope it's warmer.
Welcome to my misery.
I'd say Bam is a little more, just because he's played and the role he's played for this team this year, more consistency than I think you've gotten from Jimmy. But Jimmy brings what people want with all due respect to Bam, Jimmy brings what everybody wants in the All-Star game, which is he's star power, man. Jimmy is a big-time star. I mean, I had both in. I fear what's going to happen is, because of where the Heat are in the standings, they're going to get one. It'll be interesting to see which one the coaches go with. I got a feeling it might be Butler, but to me, Bam. I say that, but we've talked about this before when we've discussed this. Coaches love Bam because he does all the little things and shows up and plays hard every night and has improved his game. Maybe that gets him through.
Bingo. And that's what the way I sort of look at it is, there's 4 prongs to the All-Star process. There's fan voting, that's 50% for the starters. Fans vote as fans, and we've seen some odd selections there because they want their favorite players. So Zion Williamson, who barely has played at all, is a starter from the Western Conference pool because fans have a right to be fans. I have no issue with that. Media vote, and they tend to be more analytic, and they go through the metrics, and that's fine also. That's a media perspective. That's 25% of the starters. Players vote, and they vote for their friends, and they're allowed to because they're not told that they can't. That's 25% for the starters. So I get that,
baby.
Each of those constituencies gets to vote for the way they want to vote. So my thought is, when you give the conference coaches the 7 reserves, they should vote as coaches. If coaches vote as coaches, Jimmy Butler, coach killer, not so far off there.
Yeah.
Am I Kurt Heelan?
No, by the way, if Trae Young's not on the team, yeah.
You'll know why also, right? So you have that fact. By contrast, Bam is not a stats guy, plays team defense, plays team offense, is willing to move off the ball, had just been an all-around good guy and the ultimate team player since he arrived out of Kentucky. So to me, if coaches vote as coaches, and if they don't say, hey, it's an all-star game, it's for fun, let's get who the fans want, like a Jimmy Butler, I think Bam is the choice and should be the choice of coaches based on who coaches are and what coaches say. But we'll see. The second part of that equation is, and we've spoken about this in ad nauseum, and yet it's the theme of the season with players sitting out. And again, we saw that last night in the game in Brooklyn with Davis and LeBron being held out, is missed time when you look for Jimmy Butler and all the game he's missed. Do you think the coaches might have said it at one point, he's missed too much time, we have to vote for the guys this season we're all-stars? Or do you think they looked at the fan balloting and they said, you know what, if Zion is starting, that's all out the window? How much do you think for reserves and even overall, Kurt Heelan, that missed time should count when you're picking for all-stars for the 2023 NBA All-Star game?
This is a really good question. I think I'm really curious what the coaches do with that, because I think it was one of the hardest things. I have one of those media votes, and that was one of the hardest things. Like, where do you draw the line with Zion or Anthony Davis in the West, who are, frankly, their highs are higher and they're just better players than Domantas Sabonis? But Domantas Sabonis shows up every night and puts up numbers and he should be an all-star, but I don't know if he'll be a star. Like, that debate's really interesting. And I've landed on the spot where I'm like, it's a fan exhibition event. If you've played in 60% of your team's games, that's good enough for me. Like, I'm not going to be, but I don't know if coaches are going to feel that way. Like, I think coaches might set that bar higher, and that might be, like you said, what puts Bam in over Jimmy is just, I think for coaches who, well, at least the coaches I've talked to, and you've probably talked to some coaches and heard them around the league this year feeling the same way, they're a little sick of this, especially if you can get them off the record. Like, they're not thrilled with having to juggle their lineups every night
and play the damn game. And I totally agree with that. So I do wonder how much they take that into account. I want to ask you also, because you mentioned you talk to coaches, you also get in locker rooms over there at the Crypt where the Lakers and Clippers play, and going and visiting locker rooms also. The All-Star game this year is February 19th in Salt Lake City, Utah. 1, it's February 19th. 2, it's very cold in Salt Lake in February. 3,
Yes.
it's Salt Lake, which I know has come around a little bit as a destination, but let's not kid ourselves. All things being equal, which do you think weighs more on players? I could be in Cancun instead, or just the ego of, and this is an ego-driven league and a marketing-driven league. Do you think players want to be there to the point that they will be crushed if they're not named by the coaches tomorrow? Or do you think there could be a degree, Kurt Heelan, of, I escaped Utah in February, I'm going to be in Cancun for a week instead of just for 3 days?
I think it kind of depends on where the player is. Like, right? Look, if you're a marketing juggernaut a la Kevin Durant, you want to be there, right? Like, it's just part of it. I don't think people realize all the marketing, all the hoopla, everything that goes on around the All-Star game's almost incidental to the weekend of events. But I think for a lot of players, I remember Tim Duncan, this dates me a little bit. Tim Duncan at the end was literally like lobbying not to be an all-star by the coaches. Like, I don't want to go. I don't want to be there. I think there's a lot of players who would, if you've been an all-star a few times and your reputation established, you've gotten paid, I'd rather be with my family or be in Cancun or be wherever. Than they're not that thrilled about. It's like, it is a long weekend of events if you're there. And all of them have flights booked out. Whoever is the guys going, those starters already have their private jets lined up to fly out at 11 o'clock or whatever on that night. Like, they are going to be gone from Salt Lake as fast as they can get out the door.
And that's the thing with the 2-hour time difference. It's not like they have to leave like in the middle of the night like they did after Cleveland in the East. A lot of times the Players Union holds a meeting in the Bahamas the day after the All-Star game. Players wind up getting there. They want to get out. So I do think it'll be interesting. The NBA has compacted it. Matter of fact, typically the way it works is on the Friday before the All-Star game, there's a media day, which it's almost like the Super Bowl, not to that degree, but it's nonsense.
It's close. Yeah.
Then there was a practice on Saturdays, but I wonder this year, Kurt, how that plays out, because no one knows what team they're on. So it's not like Team Durant or Team LeBron can line up, because until the All-Star game begins, the coaches don't even know who's on their team. So I wonder if that session even happens, or maybe they move away from that. So I think that'll be interesting. So the formatics change there to a degree also. So I just think that this year, if a player doesn't make it, they won't be as crushed. Anyway, I got away from the chat board, and that's my fault, so I understand. Real quick, I want to go back to what we talked about in the trade deadline. C. Dollar brings this up. If the Heat do move off of Kyle Lowry, maybe to the Clippers, they might need a point guard back. C. Dollar said, I'll take Reggie Jackson back. Kurt, Reggie's been really bad this season, hasn't he?
Yes, yeah. He has not been good. He is not an upgrade. In fact, you'd almost, frankly, just because of he's a Heat-style player, I might ask for John Wall. I might ask for...
And he spends a lot of time in Miami, yeah.
He's not been great either. He's available for a reason, but he's more of a Heat player, I think. Reggie brings a lot of... Reggie believes in Reggie. Reggie does not lack confidence and all the good and bad that comes with that. But look, they're starting Terrence Mann at point over Reggie. Should tell you all Ty Lue is a really good evaluator of talent and coach, and it's not an accident.
So I agree with that. We were debating the Heat's primary choice if only one gets in as an all-star. Universally here on the chat board, it's in favor of Bam. Papa says that. Good. Breezy says that. C. Dollar says Jimmy doesn't show up enough to play. So I get all of that, and it matters. I can't get the full name here, so I'm not going to try it. I call him Nara. But the question here was, do the Heat really have an all-star level player? Because if they did, they wouldn't be mired in this mediocrity right now. I think people sometimes confuse all-star with all-NBA. All-stars are 24 players, all-NBA are 15. That's the difference. I'm not sure the Heat has an all-NBA player. But I think for all-stars, I think you would agree, Kurt, that at least Bam and Jimmy will be and were in the coaches' discussions when they were going over their staff, correct?
Absolutely, yeah. It's top 24, and frankly, with injury replacement stuff, you're really talking about top 30 type of players and Bam and Jimmy are, I think Bam is clearly in that mix. But either way, they're both certainly in the conversation where it gets tougher with all-NBA. You get three centers, and it's really tough for Bam to make that cut if like Jokic and Embiid, and then who's your third one? Like if Anthony Davis plays enough, it's really hard for Bam to get in that spot.
Yeah, no, I agree. So this is a little bit different. Again, this is more for the fans. That's more for, Supermax and other contracts. So we'll get to that. Bobby Marks wrote at ESPN today. I think it's only 5 players impacted by All-Star bonuses. That's mostly because players now get the full max. And even if your bonuses kick in, you can't go above the max. So it's not like it used to be. So that world is changing a little. Going to go in reverse here for our usual ending because I want to get to the standings after. Heat upcoming schedule. Tonight in Cleveland, Cavaliers are good. What's your expectation, Heat of Cavaliers tonight at Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse?
Do the Heat warm up enough to play? I think this could be – the Heat have to bring it. Like you said, the Cavs have not been quite as focused lately. They look like one of those teams kind of young and checking their watches like, hey, when do I get to Cancun? But that said –
At home, they're very good.
They're very good. And I think, you're going to have a really focused elite Heat performance to hang in this one.
And that's the thing. When this trip started and it was Charlotte and Cleveland and New York and Milwaukee, my thought was this. 2-2, you come back out 6 games over, you're fine, heading to the trading deadline. But now that you lost Charlotte, you got to steal one somewhere, is my thought. So you have Cleveland tonight. I think it's a really tough matchup for them because Cleveland not only is number 1 in the NBA in defense, but with Garland and with Mitchell, they're just going to outscore you. I don't think that he can keep pace with the Cavaliers. So if Cleveland's players have their typical scoring night, I think the Heat are screwed, but we'll see unless the Heat can tighten the clamps. After tonight, they go to Madison Square Garden, which everyone visiting team gets up for. Knicks actually have a losing home record, which is kind of odd to be in the spot they are. Heat Knicks on Thursday. Your thoughts on that?
I like the Heat in that game. Like you said, I don't think they sleep through that one, but that is looking at the standings, like we'll talk about in a minute, I don't want to say must win because it's not must win in that sense, but it's whatever's next to must win. It's that.
I think it's must win. And because we'll talk about the standings in a moment, we'll get to that. So I do. And I think it's must win on this trip because you don't want to have a 1-3 trip. I also think because the Knicks are playing the Lakers tonight and it's LeBron and everything, I think a lot of the emotion of their week coming off the game against Brooklyn, then the game against the Lakers, I don't know if the Heat will have as much of a buzz as it used to be in the Big Three in the Wade years. So I'll be curious to see if the Knicks get up for that game without Mitchell Robinson. They're a different team, so I think that'll be interesting. They do have athletic wings, but the Heat tend to shut down young guys when they're on point defensively. Then you go Saturday to play the Bucks. The Heat are 2-0 against Milwaukee, but they're 2-0 against Milwaukee without Giannis. He missed that baseball-type series in Miami when the Heat won those games. I would think the Bucks would want to make a statement being 0-2 against the Heat, Kurt.
I would agree with that. And also, I think they had a slump for a while. They've had a couple of better games. Giannis has played more like himself of late, which is bad news. It's not that Bam isn't maybe the best defender on Giannis in the league or one of them, but nobody stops Giannis when he's rolling.
Yeah, I mean, 50-point Giannis, he just shows when he's on, he's on. I think they'll want to make a statement against the Heat. I don't know their schedule exactly if it's a back-to-back situation, but I think otherwise that they'd be ready for the game, which brings me to close today's show on the redrecover.com Inside the Paint Show. When I look at the standings right now, and even some of the recent results, the Heat losing, the Cavaliers getting the Clippers without anyone on Sunday and just destroying them. So right now you have Boston slipping a little bit, but still showing that they could be quality when they're whole. You have Philadelphia, the hottest team in the NBA, being who we thought they would be with Joel Embiid and the backcourt of Maxey and Harden. You have them at the top. You have Milwaukee, now that Giannis is back, completely different team, sort of locked into a top 3 there right now. You have Brooklyn, who's barely staying afloat. Kyrie's playing great, but Durant possibly within a week of coming back. He said he wants to be back before the All-Star break. Well, their game right before the All-Star break is against the Heat at Barclays, so he could be back for that. I think Brooklyn has shown, Kurt, I think you would agree, with Durant and Irving, they're pretty much on point as a possible top 4 team?
Yeah, definitely. Whatever questions we've got about them are deep playoff questions, not regular season.
So I put them.
It's hard to beat a team that has Durant playing like that.
Yes, and Kyrie playing the way he's playing, even without Durant. And they're role players to come together. Claxton's having a very good season this year. Seth Curry's getting back in the mix there. I think they're fine. Cleveland, who we talked about, the Heat played tonight. They're very good at home, a little shaky on the road. But I think the top 5 in the East is largely set unless the Heat pull an upset tonight. So to me, number 6, and avoiding the play-in, comes down to the Heat, the Knicks, and the Atlanta Hawks. The Hawks do this all the time. They get on a winning streak and you say they're back and there's something.
Here they come, yeah.
And then they hawk. Now, last night they didn't have Trae Young when they lost the game. Does Atlanta have the staying power to contend to 6, or are they just going to be like last year in another play-in team?
I think they're like last year in a play-in team, and which is internally very disappointing. But you look at the front office shifts there, and now Collins is not going to be traded, or what? I don't know what this team is trying to be. They're not. Nate McMillan and the star player aren't getting along. Just all that internal strife leads to losses.
Yeah, I'm not writing off Atlanta because as long as Trae Young and DeJounte Murray are there, they can outscore you and win games. To me, it'll come down to the Heat and the Knicks for number 6. Folks, if you have any issues with him, you can see there right below, next to his name is his Twitter handle. I'm sure you could DM him. He follows everyone. The Heat or the Knicks, which do you think trending or setting up better for number 6?
I think the Heat. I think that they're finally getting healthy. I think they've just, in flashes, have played better lately. As long as Jimmy plays, the Knicks have had their moments. Randall's coming around. Brunson's been worth every penny, but I still think the Heat are just a better team. And I'd have to look. I don't know which team has the tougher schedule off the top of my head.
Heat has a pretty tough schedule because they played a lot of cupcakes early. But
actually, I know the Knicks, but honestly, I think as I remember now, the Knicks had one of the toughest schedules remaining.
Well, but the difference is the Heat don't have to go west anymore. As a matter of fact, they don't have any games in the Mountain and Pacific time zone. They've been better against the Western Conference this year, though, which is interesting because that is a tiebreaker. One thing that will factor major into this, Kurt, is this. After head-to-head, the second tiebreaker is if you're a division champion. Well, if we both say the Heat are going to finish ahead of the Hawks, the Heat are going to win the Southeast. If you win the Southeast, you get that tiebreaker. So I think that could come into play also with these teams so tightly bunched. We'll know a little bit more. Heat Cleveland tonight, Heat in New York on Thursday, Heat in Milwaukee on Saturday. Do not play again until Kurt and I talk next Wednesday on redrecover.com Inside the Paint, where we'll have a better sense about the trading deadline. So take a deep breath, buckle up. It's going to be an interesting week. He's Kurt Heelan from Pro Basketball Talk. I'm Ira Winderman from the South Florida Sun Sentinel. That's your redrecover.com Inside the Paint for this week. And right now, the Big O Show rolls on.
You've been listening to the redrecover.com Inside the Paint Show with Ira Winderman and Kurt Heelan. Go to redrecover.com to learn more about red light with videos, blog posts, and 40 years of medical research to treat pain, inflammation, and overall well-being. Use code BIG-O to get a 10% discount. The redrecover.com Inside the Paint Show is mastered by executive producer Sean Stanley. Please search Big O Radio Show on most platforms. Subscribe and smash the like button.
For over 16 years, EJDconstruction.com has provided South Florida residents quality craftsmanship, accurate project management, and exceptional service. That's why EJDconstruction.com is an A-rated member of Angie's List and the Better Business Bureau. When you're looking for the right custom home builder for additions or home remodeling, please call my friend Eric at 305-433-4843. That's 305-433-4843 for EJDconstruction.com.
The viewpoint statements or beliefs expressed on the following program by the host, guests, or callers are not necessarily the opinions of FantasyXS.com, Media Group Inc. ownership, management, sponsors, or website.
With the 42nd pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, the Miami Dolphins select...
The Big O Radio Show hits the road with the EJDconstruction.com off-season NFL Draft Tour, presented by SportsGrill.com. Your home for the NFL Draft with 8 great locations in South Florida. Here's your host, Big O.
All right. Yeah, we are back, baby. Ready to rock and roll. Yes, sir. Boys just finished. We are here in Mobile, Alabama. For those of you that don't know, we started at 8 in the morning, so we already have an hour of content before the hour you just saw now with the boys. So just in case, you'll be able to rewind and Hey, what do you think about Vic Fangio? We talked about it in the first hour, so it's there. You can check it out. Appreciate all of you for hanging in there and joining us. We're gonna get Cam Wake's birthday was yesterday. Cameron Wolfe will be joining us at 10:30, and then we'll have Manny Navarro at 11. For those of you out there, if you're waiting for a Canes report or you're waiting to find out about the Dolphins, we'll get Cam's thoughts on everything that is Vic Fangio, which, I keep trying to, find out what the hell is going on. All right. It's, when's this thing going to be finalized? That kind of stuff. And it hasn't been finalized yet. So we continue to wait. We'll see. Meanwhile, Bitcoin back over 23,000, got just under 20. It was pushing to 24. And I think we're all I think the problem is waiting for the Feds. And once the Feds come out and they announce what I think a lot of us think is going to happen, a quarter point, I think you're going to have a lot of volatility this week. Could go up, could go down. I think it's going to go up. I think it's just we're getting great reports from the economy all over the place. So just waiting for that. And Gary Densler and the SEC lost their case against Library, and they're going to lose their case against Ripple. So all of that FUD that was out there about crypto being, securities and all that, that's going to go out the window. And that is just going to explode things. So we shall see what we shall see. All right. We'll have some fun with all of that. A lot of things to talk about while we're here with you guys. Okay. It's a loud car that was just out there. Anyway, you got any questions? Send them in. You want to make a donation to the show, Cash App or Venmo. That is Cash Big O Show. That is Cash Big O Show. Visit our amazing sponsors like Sports Grill, who, of course, is part of the reason why we're here. We got great sponsors that allow us to be here and gather information for all of you. So that's kind of the idea. It's a partnership. Tune in, hit the like button, hit the notification bell, visit our sponsors. Sports Grill, 8 great locations. Who knows? Maybe we'll do the draft show at one of the locations. You never know. We haven't locked down the draft show and where we're going to do it. But hey, listen, while the NFL games are going on, we got the Super Bowl coming up, right? $1.50 Bud Light drafts and bottles. They've got new cocktails during the NFL games, cherry lemonade and tailgate tea. They've got $12 domestic pitchers, so enjoy during the Super Bowl. And they've got the hot sauces now available for you to take home. Buffalo sauce, Miami Heat, blackberry, barbecue, and dale. And today is Tuesday, so $2 tacos, chicken, beef, or fish. Tomorrow on Wednesday, kids will eat free with the purchase of an adult entree. And you got to check out the Doral location. Absolutely beautiful, man. What a great job. Man, I got to tell you, Frankie, Carlos, all those guys, they did a great job in designing that sports grill there in Doral. It is absolutely beautiful. So go on out there. It's right off of 87th Avenue, right down the street from the Doral Golf Course, actually. It's about a mile away from it, right there on 8th Street, on 87th Avenue, and you go north on it, and it's right there. You can't miss it. Pretty cool, man. Pretty cool. Got the Heat back in action tonight at 6 against the Cavs. We've got Panthers off till next week. Obviously, the All-Star break's going on. They'll come back to take on the Lightning on Monday. And then tonight, ESPNU, UM and Vatek will also tip off at 6 o'clock. So that's some of the local things, going on in the world of sports. Let's see. What do we have here? We go with our 5 draft picks: QB, running back, offensive tackle, CB, and kicker. I think we need to sign a linebacker. John, you can't predict that. That's not something you predict. You don't know what you get in free agency first, and then that'll maybe affect what you do in the draft. So I don't know how they're viewing the draft. Maybe they don't think it's strong enough in one position or another, so they've got to fill it, in free agency. So I think that's kind of the the thing there. So I wouldn't. I don't put that kind of stuff on the draft. You're just going plain on needs, and that may not go with what the draft is offering at the time and the pick at the moment. So none of that is realistic. What else do we have? Morning Big O, Sean and Finn's family from Timothy Eason. Alex Palenzuela says, good morning to all. Not political statement, but all the media did was stoke fear on the recession, give credit where it's due. I don't know. That's what they do is they stoke fear, bro. It's what they always do. It's pandemic. It's I saw a post from one of the generals says, we'll be in war with China in 2025. Crypto is it's the devil. It's all to stoke fear. That's kind of that's why you tune in. That's why you guys go and listen to the trolls. That's why they have large audiences, because you people you gravitate to that shit. So everything that you're complaining about, you people gravitate to that on average. That's what you want. You know what I'm saying? So it doesn't matter what it is, whether it's war, whether it's climate change, whether it's a pandemic, whether it's whatever it is, they're going to use it as a vehicle for whatever. You know what I mean? So every side does it. It's not a political thing, by the way. Democrats and Republicans both do it. So, I don't care. To me, see, that's the problem. I don't mind. I crush both. So, Democrats and Republicans can both kiss my ass. That's how we do it on this show. I slam both because they're both clown shows, and they both do the same crap. Not one's not better than the other. That's the real problem with a lot of you out there. You chose a side, and the problem is the side you're choosing sucks. Doesn't work for Americans. So everybody, whether it's sports or politics or weather, whatever it is, dude, some showers coming, the reporter will go and stand by a puddle to it's really raining hard out here. Look at the full, and it happens to be, you're in Sweetwater where it always floods for anything. You're in Brickell where it floods for anything. You're in Fort Sewardale where, sewage just comes out of Fort Lauderdale all the time and into the streets. That's just normal. So let's just go to the spots, and they know. Meanwhile, it's not raining anywhere else. There aren't any floods anywhere else. It's just we have certain areas that flood all the time. So, hey, let's go make sure we do our live shots right there. Fear, uncertainty, and doubt. They do it in everything. Not politics. They do it in sports. They do it everywhere, right? There's a whole bunch of you now that are just fear mongers about Tua. It's the same thing, That's all. So none of it changes. It's not a political thing. It's a tool people use for attention, and they all use it. Lofi, when tech central banks allocate 2% of these portfolios to crypto, that $400 billion is right there. Oh yeah, easy, and it's coming. They're all doing it. BlackRock's in it and all that. It's what I tell people is like, don't listen to the politicians. They're stupid. They don't know anything. There's like maybe less than 1% or 2% of the politicians that we have voted in for whatever side that actually know about crypto. Most of them don't know. And so then, you got like Elizabeth Warren, that stupid freaking moron. That Elizabeth Warren is one of the dumbest ass idiots I've ever seen. I got another word for her, but I'll refrain from using that word for her. But she just it's just a gross, irresponsible way of approaching it because you're stupid and ignorant and you're a fucking idiot. You know what I mean? Like Elizabeth Warren is one dumb asshole. I gotta say, just one dumb asshole when it comes to crypto. There, I said it. Had to say it. So that's the problem. And you have stupid ass people like Elizabeth Warren running her mouth when she doesn't know shit about crypto and she sounds so effing stupid. And since most of you know nothing about crypto, you listen to her stupid ass and you think she knows what she's talking about. That's why Gary Densler is about to get his ass handed to him in the courts by Ripple and by Library, because they don't know anything, and all they want to do is manipulate and control you and control your money. That's what they want to do. You know what I mean? And Elizabeth Warren knows what's coming. She knows, you know, but instead she'll spew misinformation and be stupid, just like a lot of politicians that are out there. So I'm with you, Lofi. Once institutional money comes in, then it explodes, and then retail comes in. And retail, for those of you that don't understand, that's you. That's the average person. That's retail. Once Bitcoin hits 40, 45, then I'll have plenty of people on the chat with, hey, should I get into crypto? Should I buy Bitcoin now? Yeah, okay, you can do it, but, you know, I wish you would have listened to me when it was at 16,000 and 17 and 20 and 23. I mean, you know, but whatever. You know, so that's how it goes. You know, that's life, because you listen to them early, and meanwhile you're not paying attention. If you watch the crypto show this past week, I showed you how Apple's getting into it, and Disney's getting into it, and Amazon's getting into it, and you know, and Tesla's already been into it, and all the major players and banks all over, and Mississippi and New Hampshire and Mississippi, New Hampshire. There's one more state that they're looking to make it legal tender. And then you have idiots like Elizabeth Warren telling you that crypto is the end of the world and it's the devil and all that, and you know, and then she just misleads Americans because she doesn't give a shit. Because none of them do, the Democrats or Republicans. They don't care about us. You know? They just care about their own interests. That's all. That's all they ever do on that hill, on both sides. They don't do anything for us. Crypto and decentralized financing is your freedom, your ticket. I'm not a financial advisor. Do your own homework. But if you objectively look into it, you will find out. And you're going to go, oh, shit. I need to take advantage of this. So, yeah. It is what it is. What else do we have here? Eric says, I highly doubt that this news would have broken if it weren't true, especially considering the reporters who broke it are well respected. Everybody just needs to relax. Yeah, we talked about it in the first hour. You can go back and rewind, and we kind of went over it. I kind of tell you what we think. Actually, one of our listeners had something very interesting that he brought up. And I'm going to agree with. I think it's something we all overlooked, but I'll let you rewind and go find out if you didn't catch it the first go around. George says, "Acabó con Warren." Well, Warren's a clown, dude. I mean, she just. When it comes to crypto, okay, I'm not going to get into anything else she or any of the idiots on both sides of the aisle do, but it makes me sick to my stomach when I see people in our government irresponsibly talk about crypto, and because they don't care about us and they want to screw you. That's all it is. You know, that's all it is. It's disgusting. It really is. It's disgusting at every level. What else do we have? Roderick Freeman says, haven't you noticed that the biggest know-nothings, aka politicians, have the biggest well, Roderick, is what I always say. The minority are loud, you know, kind of like Trumpies. They're the minority, but they're loud, you know, but that happens. You're the reason I got into crypto. Oh, my first ever chat with you. You read my mind was what it is. Cardano, boy, I am glad I listened to you. You'll be more glad. And again, not a financial advisor. You got to do your own homework. But I think you all will be much more glad about crypto by the end of this year, and then 2024 and 2025. Oh, my God. If you have strong hands and you hold, you know what I'm saying? I mean, listen, if you listen to me about Mina protocol, which was like in the 40 cent range or 38 cents or 42 or whatever, and it's almost at 80 right now. If you listen to me and I was telling you about Alethea, okay, nobody tells you about Alethea artificial intelligence token, but I told you about it. It was under a penny. It got up to 4 cents. So if you put $500, you have $2,000, and sell it right now if you want, and you got $2,000. You put $1,000, you got $4,000. You get what I'm saying? You 4x your money. I think it's under 4 cents now. I think it's in the 3 cent range. You get it in crypto.com, but again, it's already pumped. So now's not the time to get it. It's down 6% right now. I think. Let me see. Down 7.7%, down to 3.2 cents. Okay. All right. So it's just over 3 cents. And it got to 4. And this was a month ago at 8.9. Okay, not even a penny at 8.9. On January 3rd, this was at 0.0089. So if you listen to me when I was talking about Alethea, there's got to be one of you out there that bought Alethea when I told you, and you looked at whatever you invested, and you're like, holy crap, dude, I've already doubled. You can take out your profits. You can take out your investment now in Alethea and leave the rest, and you're in profits, and you're only playing with house money. That's how you play this game, dude. But again, you gotta do your homework. So I don't know if any of you ended up getting into Alethea when I told you, but if you did, you love me right now. You love me. Okay? Again, not a financial advisor. It's just what I'm doing. That's all. But it is what it is. Juice F5 says, how much can I invest in crypto if I have other expenses like a mortgage? Nothing. Juice F5, you can only invest what you're willing to lose. You never invest your mortgage money, your rent money, your food, car, what do you need for your kids, whatever, you never, ever invest that. Ever. Okay? You pay your bills. Now, if you have extra money, like I said, like I told you guys in the show, you go to the movies 3 times a month. Okay, well then only go once, or go twice and leave. And what you saved from that one movie, that's what you invest. You like sneakers and you buy sneakers all the time. Well, refrain from buying a couple pair of sneakers and invest in something. That's discretionary income is what you use it for. You do not use the money you need to survive every day. That would not be smart. Lofi says crypto collapse. We were at 3 trillion. Now we know 2 of the 3 was institutional money to create the collapse. Yeah, and you know what they did, Lofi? And then they have created more FUD, and then they play with leverage. And so they freak out the average person, retail, the hard worker that sees, oh my God, I bought Bitcoin at 35 and it's now at 16. Let me sell before it goes to 0. And instead of buying more at 16, so you lower the 30 down, and that way when it goes up, you now will start making money a lot faster, right? Because that's how you do it. But then you have people get scared, and then people lost money and lost their asses because they didn't do their homework, as you know. And that's what happens. When you know what you're doing and you have conviction, you don't allow the FUD. You keep investing. Like that guy complained about Polkadot. You know what I was doing while he was complaining? I was still buying Polkadot. Not anymore, because now it's way up and I'm over already. I'm in the profit area with it, but it's not, you gotta, this is not a thing for soft hands. You gotta have conviction when you do this crap. Let's see. Like 100 or anything, I'll watch Saturday's show. Look, Juice F5, I made it nice and easy for all of you. Okay, I don't want you to get too complicated. If you're a rookie, okay, I'm not a financial advisor. Okay, but if I was starting out in crypto, this is what I would do. Whatever the pie is, $10, $50, $100, $500, $5,000, $50,000, $500,000. I don't give a shit what it is. Whatever you can afford to throw away. Okay? 40% of it in Bitcoin, 30% of it in Ethereum, and then 10, 10, and 10 in 3 different coins. I'll give you Cosmos, Polygon, and Polkadot. Okay? You can get Cardano also. You can get Avalanche. Use 3 of those and 10% in each. And then anytime you have money, you have extra money, break again the pie into the same thing and put it in again. And that's it. And keep DCAing, dollar cost average. Okay? And right now it's still not a bad time. Polkadot still has not gone and exploded where it needs to go. Cosmos has not exploded where it needs to go. Polygon has gone up a little bit. It's over $1 now, but it's going to climb a lot more, and it's deflationary. Avalanche has gone up, but it still is going to go places like big time. So there, some of these that I'm telling you, they've climbed a little bit, and I wish you would have listened to me earlier. When I tell you guys buy the dip, those of us that kept buying the dip all the way down, we're now like loving what's going on because the bull run hasn't completely started yet. Hasn't even really started moving. But those of us that bought the dip, we're already starting to see profits. So when the bull run starts, oh my God. And when institutional money comes in and then the average person, retail, gets in, we'll get back to what Lofi was talking about. We'll go over 3. We'll hit 4 trillion. And this next bull run, we'll hit 4 to 5 trillion, I think, is what we're going to end up doing. Because there's a lot of things that are just from the last bull run. Cardano's way ahead from where they were. So is Polygon, and so is Avalanche, and so is Cosmos, and all these companies have grown since then. That's the other thing. That during the bear market, you had to study the companies that were building during a bear market, not losing. And that's if companies are getting stronger during a bear market, oh my God, what do you think is going to happen when the bull run starts? So when Amazon teams up with Avalanche, game over. All these companies are going to these crypto companies because they've got to put their businesses on blockchains. That's it. Amazon's getting into NFTs. So now those of us that are Amazon customers, you're going to have ways of earning NFTs and all that kind of stuff. It's crazy. People don't understand what's coming, but they will eventually. They will. Anyway, Victor Sierra says, Big O, glad to have you in Mobile. Stay safe out there. I am going to go to a bar in Pensacola. Dougie Fresh has to pick a bar in Pensacola. So if you live here in Mobile, Pensacola, tomorrow night, all right? I don't know exactly what time, but it will be somewhere in the 7, 8 o'clock range, I think. I'm going to go over to a bar in Pensacola and hopefully meet Doug, Victoria, and any of you out there that live in this area. Would love to meet you tomorrow. We'll tell you where I'll post it on Twitter and I'll say it on the show here. Let me see if Doug has sent me a DM on my Twitter feed, because that's where he usually contacts me there. I have not seen anything from Dougie Fresh yet. Okay. So pressure's on, Dougie Fresh. You got to come up with a bar. You know what sucks? I don't have any good concerts while I'm up here. That hurts. Hurts. Let's see. Lenny says, good morning, Big O and Sean, and good morning to all on the chat. Alex says, Big O, is there any link between Shanahan having literally all of his QBs hurt, including RG3, and then McDaniel having just bad luck, Alex? Oh, Purdy got hurt on an elbow. That was like weird. I mean, what are you going to do, man? Look, Garoppolo doesn't count. He's always injured. Always. That's always been his thing. When he first played You remember when Deflategate happened and Tom Brady was out for 4 games? Jimmy Garoppolo couldn't last 4 games. Jabroni Brissett also played. You guys remember that? So sometimes it's just bad luck. That's all. And that's the thing about, I think, this Dolphin season. And I get it, back to our point earlier about FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. Too many of you lean on that negativity all the time. And I don't get it. I really don't. Look, I understand when Skylar Thompson's playing against the Bills, and I wasn't very confident myself, and they shocked us, but okay, I can understand that. But the idea of this defeated attitude already from the get-go, and that's why negativity is fed off of so many people. Because internally, a lot of you are already breeding it. And that's and we have those people, oh my God, no, there must be something wrong with the trainers. No, dude, there's nothing wrong with the trainers. Teron Armstead's always been injury prone. Tua, unfortunately, has been injury prone. Chubb has been injury prone. By the way, congratulations to Bradley Chubb. He made the Pro Bowl. But Austin Jackson wasn't injury prone, and he just had that high ankle injury. A high ankle injury can happen to anybody. And then it lingered because unless you're able to really come back with a stable ankle so you can survive, obviously it wasn't completely healed and he re-injured it again. Ethan Carter wasn't full of concussions his entire life, but he got one here and it lasted all season. They could not get him out of the concussion protocol for months. They put him on the IR. I mean, Brandon Shell gets injured at the end. Freakish. You know, X has always been injury prone. It has nothing to do with the trainers. It's just that's who he is. He's always dealt with injuries. It's just bad luck. They've got good trainers, and San Francisco, my God, they didn't have bad luck like Miami did all over the team. But at the quarterback position, just like Miami, they had a lot of bad luck. Sucks. But I just think for me, I'm not going to go into this offseason like some of you out there that you're just painting this ugly picture. I'm not, man. I don't look at it that way. I think the Tua thing is fixable, very fixable, and I've talked about it over and over again. And the team thing is very fixable because it was just a bunch of bad luck. And Mike McDaniel, his game day decisions, incredibly fixable. All of this can work out. Now, if you don't want it to work out and you're already going to go into negative attitude, then, go ahead and knock yourselves out. I'm not going to do that. But I think that that's a lot of what's gone on. There's a lot of frustrations from everything that went on, and we'll find out soon enough within the first couple of weeks if Tua learned his lesson or not. That's all. So they said Purdy has a torn ACL. No, it's UCL, sir. Ulnar collateral ligament. Here, he needs Tommy John surgery. ACL is in your knee. If Purdy throws with his leg, then he really is. He's not a first rounder. He's 8 first rounders. So no link there. Big O, it's every year with fins. No, Matthew. I'm sorry. That's completely wrong. See, you're part of the problem, not the solution. I'm sorry. When's every year that they have the number 1 rated passer and they have an explosive offense? I must have missed that one. When did that happen? Every year? Come on, man. This isn't every year. That's the problem with people. That's exactly the dude I was talking about right there. That's the disease. Okay? And as Cobra said, I'm the cure. Remember, if you're business wants to be a part of our platform, 786-754-4664. That's 786-754-4664 if your business wants to be a part of ours. Essential Moving Experts. Yeah, baby. Sean Williams and the boys. Long moving services, short moving services. You got to call them. They're stationed right in Daytona, but they service the entire country. So if you're moving from state to state, city to city, county to county, it doesn't matter, man. You call Sean Williams and the great people at Essential Moving Experts, 386-213-4054. That's 386-213-4054. I think Sean may check in with us this week on the show. We'll be good. We'll be good. Where are we at here? Double T Sports says we're going to stand up and be stronger this next season. If they get luck, I'm with you, Double T. I love this team, man. They make a couple of extra additions. I'm super excited about the 23 season. You know, that's the way I'm going to look at it. That's the enthusiasm I'm going to have all off season for this. I'm looking forward to the free agency. I'm looking forward to the moves. I'm looking forward to the draft. I'm looking forward to the mini camps. I'm looking forward to training camp and the preseason. And I am pumped about 2023 because I just feel that the Dolphins had a really good team that could compete against most. And they just had a crap ton of bad luck. All right, let's get ready. Hour number 3. Hour number 3 continues. Marcel Louis-Jacques gives us the edge next. I'm sorry, Cam Wolfe. We release the Wolf Pack next.
We unleash the Wolf Pack as we get the latest in the NFL and the Miami Dolphins with our KSDT CPA Pro Football Report with NFL Network insider Cameron Wolfe. KSDT is one of South Florida's largest and one of the country's fastest growing accounting firms. KSDT CPA is a full-service firm that also excels in crypto. Visit them at ksdtcpa.com or call 305-670-3370. Here's NFL insider Cameron Wolfe.
There he is. How you feeling, my man? You feeling good?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Here in Vegas, we're at 7:30, but actually I'm not that tired, so that's good. Day one, though. Day one.
9:30 for me, but I drove 9.5 hours yesterday. So I drove for my. No, I like driving, so I'm not. I find it therapeutic. Cool. Yeah, I'm that guy that likes driving, so I don't mind. You know, I figured it out. If I wanted to just go from Miami to Mobile, it's 7 hours and 15 minutes.
Really?
The driving to the airport, waiting at the gate, flight, then get your baggage, go get your rent-a-car, drive 2 hours to Mobile from New Orleans. I still have to rent a car and all that. So it's really only an extra 2 hours that I'm in the car. And what if there are delays? And what if, you know what I mean? And it's like, I
definitely hear you on that.
Indy, I'm flying. Obviously, next month when I go to the combine, I'll fly for that. But I've done this trip like 6 or 7 times over the last 23 years. And I don't mind it, man. It's not really, the panhandle.
So I only did it one. I did it 1 year for COVID year.
Okay.
I went and drove, and it actually wasn't bad. But I will say, I brought my wife and my baby then. Because it was COVID, and I was like, it's going to be I'll just make it a trip. And I've got family in Mississippi, so we made an extra surprise stop there to see grandparents. Definitely different solo compared to riding with your family.
Yeah.
And I think was like a 6 or 9 month old baby. And so I think my experience has been tainted by then.
Yeah.
I stop every 2 hours because I'm a big, I don't know about you, but I'm a big, if I'm driving, I'm driving. I don't want to stop. I don't want to pull over.
I only put gas one time. I only put gas one time, and I peed 3 times.
Yep.
So, and the other 2 were on rest stops. So it's like park, run in, pee, get back in the car, and drive. You know what I mean? Like, dude, 9.5 hours. I didn't mess around.
Yeah, I like that too. I was like, when I had the wife and baby, my wife wants to go, hey, I want to snack on this. The baby needs to be changed. Let's stretch our legs. Stretch our legs.
It's like
Let's
a
just get
14-hour drive, right? Right. Yeah, you're
So
more
yeah,
than
it ended
half
up
a
being
day.
an all day thing. I think we started at 7 a.m. We didn't get there until after 8 o'clock. And so it ended up being like a 13-hour deal.
Yeah,
and
that's
so
what I figured.
yeah. So on the way back, we stopped in Pensacola and made it a 2-day trip because I'm like, I'm not doing this again.
All right. So a lot of people we both, I believe, respect in this business. I know Pelissero. I know his work. I think we know he's impeccable. I know Mike Kliss for 20 years, and he knows his shit inside and out when it comes to the Broncos and all that stuff. Mike Silver is a guy that's very well connected. What have you been able to unearth on this Fangio story? Because I have a hard time believing Pelissero gets things wrong. You know what I'm saying? He is as money gets. You know what I'm saying? When he throws it out there. So, what have you heard, man? Because I got to tell you, I'm trying to kick the can here and try to and I'm not getting anything right now. So I'm wondering what you're getting on your end. Because
well, first I'll start there with. Yeah, first I'll start with Pelissero because he's a teammate of mine, and so he put out the report, and I vouch for him, so I don't really see any issue there. I've had conversations with him about it, and I think he's comfortable with where he is with this report still. So I think obviously the ambiguity. Glad I don't have to say that on TV today. About the situation is the reports that Vic is telling people it hasn't been official yet. And obviously, until it's pen to paper, there's always going to be some doubt. But from what I understand, talking to people in that building, they've been told that the deal is agreed upon. And so
you want to know what a listener said in the first hour of the show that made a shit ton of sense. And I never thought about this. We're talking about a 65-year-old guy. We're talking about a guy that does things the way I do, old school. Maybe he's like, no, nothing's agreed upon because I have a job with the Eagles for the next 2 weeks. And I am dedicated to these people because they're paying me now. I will address this after. Maybe he's that old school that he either hasn't signed it, so it's not official, or in respect to the Eagles, which I kind of like that kind of makes a lot of sense that you just, no, I'm taking the job and I'm leaving these guys hang, high and dry here. No, let me finish my job here first with Philadelphia. Then I will move on to the Miami situation. I'm wondering if there's something to that.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much the Philly part is an impact there because, I mean, he has been a consultant, but there's been differing views on how long he's been in that role, whether he still currently is doing that role on a day-to-day basis or whether it was something just early in the season. So I'm not sure how much it's the Philly part of it. I do think that, you're right. He's a middle 60s guy. And from what I understand, he's a different type of dude. He kind of goes by things his way. And so, you try,
I can relate to that, by the way. I can relate to that.
I don't try telling my grandpa what to do. And so I do think that there is some element of like Vic Fangio rolls his way. And so he hasn't signed anything yet, but from what I continue to hear, he has agreed upon things. So yes, obviously he could change his mind and say, hey, I'm not. But from what the Dolphins understand, from what I understand, he's told them, yes, they've given him a boatload of money, a guarantee contract for 3 years, something that was higher than what other people have given him. And so he's, they think they've got him. And so until he tells them otherwise, they're going upon that mindset. Of course, there's a speculation, the Niners connection there. Is he going to, D'Amico leaves? Is there something they can do to entice them there? Of course, there's obviously still scenarios that he could decide upon, but from what the Dolphins feel and what I've been told, they would be surprised if Vic Fangio is not, going through the process of being their defensive coordinator, which has been their plan. So,
by the way, I always have fun calling out some of the listeners when they say stupid shit. John Yang, he goes, they said Tom Brady retired last year. By the way, so did Gisele Bündchen. She thought he retired too, bro. That was the agreement, dude. That's why he's divorced now, brother. Don't blame reporters for Tom Brady acting like LeBron James indecisive, okay?
Right.
You know,
Right.
So yeah, he did retire.
Yeah, like,
he did retire.
Right, right. Like everything. This is a weird part of reporting, right? Because you say what is done, what is agreed upon. Like, hey, if me and you, say, hey, we're gonna do this together. I'm planning to be here at 10:30 on Tuesday Eastern. I'm here, right? I can always, like, something happens, I not show up, but we'd agreed that I'm gonna be here. And so, like, yes, I haven't, like, written it in paper and ink, but we've agreed. And so if I don't do that, you're gonna be pretty pissed. There's gonna be some issue there. It's like, what happened? And so that's the stage that there's been an agreement. The money's been set about. We're all good. We're moving forward. Paperwork hasn't been signed. That's the last step. And so once that's done, we'll have it behind us. But as of now, the Dolphins have not changed their mindset in believing that Vic Fangio would be their defense coordinator.
I think he's trying to negotiate Ross's plane use so he can ship the girl from California over a couple times a year or something like that. I think Fangio wants a little usage of the plane. Do you expect any changes at the special teams spot?
I've not heard anything in that regards as far as special teams coordinator. They made the 3 moves on the 3 defensive assistant moves along with Josh Boyer. And those, to me, seem to be the moves of the offseason. Vic Fangio comes in, and if everything goes according to plan with the deal, Vic Fangio comes in and he may decide to make an addition or 2 on his staff, because now it becomes his defensive staff. So maybe there's a tweak or 2 there. But as far as I understand, the plan is the current staff, it will be mostly as is going into the rest of 2023.
That's interesting. That is very interesting, because that's the one coach that I could say I was not. Although, some of us talk about with Crossman that a lot of his players had to play actual positions, and he didn't really have that. And the one thing I can defend Danny Crossman in is they didn't give him a returner. After Flo wanted to get rid of Jakeem last year, they never replaced Jakeem. And by the way, that's a lot to replace. You can talk about his drops or whatever, but he was one of the best returners in the NFL, period. Yep. And by the way, a Pro Bowler last year. Unfortunately, he got injured, but that's the one thing that I got to give Crossman a break there, where his players, he didn't have fresh special teams players because they were Bethel and all these other guys had to play, regular positions, and then no returner too. So maybe that might be his saving grace. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't really know what Danny Crossman, what his view is inside the building compared to outside the building. I know there's a lot of people look at the stats and say he should be gone. I'm not going to pretend to be a special teams expert to know what all goes into it. So I look at a lot of the things that we all look at. What's their punt returning numbers look like? Are they getting off good averages on returns? And they haven't been as good as they should be in those categories. And so I think it's a worthy question of whether Danny Crossman should still be here. But clearly the Dolphins see something in him that he's stuck around through multiple regimes. Because, if you look at the staff as now that they've gotten rid of Boyer and a lot of those defensive assistants, there's been a lot of turnover from the new Mike McDaniel era to what it was previously with Brian Flores. And so Danny Crossman's one of maybe 3 or 4 coaches that either are coordinators or position coaches that are still here from the Flores era. So if they're still here, clearly McDaniel and Flores both saw something that maybe we don't all see in what his value is as special teams coach. So I don't know.
You look at free agency. How active do you expect them to be now that the cap went up $16 million? That should be able to chew up some of that Byron Jones loss.
Yeah, so I think the 16 million number was good to get it out publicly, but from what I understand, teams were already working under the assumption that it would be around that number. So it probably was already budgeted in more than it was like, oh, this is surprise extra money. That being said, I don't think the Dolphins will be as active as they were this past offseason. Obviously, they made the big splashes for Teron Armstead and Connor Williams and then the trade for Tyreek. Don't expect that ×2 this year. But they'll definitely be searching throughout the free agent period. I'll expect they'll do some restructures to create more cap space, and then they've still got some spots to fill. Cornerback and or safety is probably going to be a spot. Assuming Vic Fangio comes in, they run a lot of 2 high safeties, and so you got to question if Brandon Jones is going to be your starting safety, or do you sign another safety and have Brandon Jones as your third safety? Corner, obviously. Hey, just keep an eye on it. Keep an eye on it. Keep an eye on it. I'm just saying. Keep an eye on it.
Wow. I love how that kid has grown up, dude.
He's a really good player, and I think that he's really good at what he does. But like I said, if you watch,
he got better at coverage this year.
He did. He was one. I wish
he kicks ass in He kicks ass in everything else.
I wish he played the whole season, because then we could have really talked about how much growth, because he was one of the more improved players. Yeah. And this is nothing against Brandon Jones. I just think once you change schemes a little bit, you're going to have to work around your players' skill sets and what they do best. And so that doesn't mean that Brandon Jones doesn't play. I just think that you're going to see a lot more 3 safety sets this year. So whether that's with a prominent free agent coming in, a draft pick, or maybe McKinley does more. I don't know, but just keep an eye on the fact that they may look at another safety there. Corner, obviously, you got to figure out what's going on with Byron. Do you cut him? Can you get something for him? Or are you comfortable with Cater? Are you going out there making a free agent sign at corner? I think these are the things there. Trill Williams, I talked to him in the locker room. He said he expects to be back in training camp. So you get another depth guy that is going to be back in that respect. Nick Needham is another guy
he was growing too, Trill Williams. He was also developing too.
Absolutely. He was going to be a big part of this deal. He was growing.
Probably the dime guy. He was probably going to be the dime guy.
Their fourth corner. He was going to be their fourth corner. And, Nick Needham is a free agent, so we'll see if they bring him back. But that might be a later offseason deal. You got Keon Crossan, who plays some reps there. So we'll see what they do in the defensive back room. Linebacker, they have a lot of free agents there. They got to figure out who they're bringing back. Are they bringing back a guy like Landon Roberts to be the middle, the captain there? Are they adding another dude there?
Is there a middle in free agency that you think would fit what Fangio does?
Sure, but it just depends on how much money they want to spend. I guess I'll tell you this. If you look at a Vic Fangio defense, the 2 positions that really star there are the safety position and then the defensive tackle position, which is interesting because most defenses are edge players and cornerbacks, right? Not to say that those guys don't have roles in Vic Fangio's defense, but the way they play, you got to have really good stout interior play and really a nose tackle.
And they have that.
And then 2 safeties. And so you've got Christian Wilkins there. You got Raekwon Davis. You got Zach Sealer. Those guys inside the tackles are going to be great. And then you also have your edge guys and Bradley Chubb, who Vic's worked with, Jalen Phillips. So their front is already, I think, pretty much set. Maybe you add a little bit depth there, but I think you're set in the front. The rest is the back 7, which is why I started with safety, because that's the other position that he needs to. And Javon Holland, I think, is going to be a star in a Vic Fangio defense. He's already a
star,
pretty much
a
star.
But
already, I do think that there's some elements of teaching that Javon will get this year that'll help elevate him even to a higher level and become one of those best safeties in the league, not just in Miami, but every market. And so I think that'll be something that you see going forward there. So to me, you start with the D-line, which they have, then you go to safeties, and then you fill that middle line, which is the linebackers and I guess the outside corner. So that's probably what I see on that defense. And offense, you got to figure out what you're going to do on the O-line. Sounds like they're going to try to give Liam and Austin another shot, but I'd imagine they bring in a veteran. I'd imagine they bring in at least a veteran to compete with those guys as well. So, I think you'll do that. And then running back, I feel like this has to be.
I'm bringing Brandon Shell back.
Yeah. Brandon Shell makes a lot of sense. He shouldn't be too expensive. Have him compete with Austin Jackson. That makes a lot of sense. Now, we're not the GM, so they may have another plan, but to me, that makes a lot of sense. So
shit, man, he was good, man. He really he saved their asses, dude. That was a great pickup by the front office there. By the way, if Fangio wants to really impress me, he fixes Noah Igbenogany.
Hey, I don't want to say anything disparaging to Noah. Because
go ahead, say it. You're asking him the impossible. Oh, what are you doing to him? What are you doing to him?
I think that this could be finally the offseason if we don't see a big jump from Noah, that he doesn't make the team. I think that's you've seen 3 years. The first round pick rub kind of rubs off at that point. So I think you're kind of at last ditch effort. You know, you got to do new DC. So we've talked a lot about maybe if he makes sense to move to another position. If so, this would be the offseason to me that you try it. Maybe another DC comes in and looks at him differently, but he's had several coaches and nobody has felt like he's shown enough to be on the field.
Maybe he makes it to 75, but he will not make the cut to 53 this year. That he's done. He's not. He will not. He doesn't have a guaranteed spot anymore this year. There's no more. Oh, we're going to take a $6 million cap hit just to release him. Now they don't take a cap hit whatsoever. So now you keep him just in case for the hell of it. But if he develops, then that's fine. You know, he won't be the first guy that the light went on like in year 4 or 5. That's happened a lot of times in the history of the NFL that guys got it late. But you're right. He's done. He will not have a spot this year. He will make it. He will get a chance up to training camp. And then after that, they'll just say, we did what we could, kid. You know?
Yeah.
You made good money.
Yeah, I mean, like the thing about the draft, and we all get obsessed with it. I love the draft. Like I know you love the draft. It's so interesting because it connects college football fans with NFL fans, and it provides hope. Like who was the worst team in football this year? The Chicago Bears technically had the worst record. I don't think they were the worst team. I think the Houston Texans were the worst team, right? Houston Texans are going to go into this draft. They got to pick at 2 and 12, and they're going to believe with their new head coach, they're going to come in and draft a franchise quarterback, and they're going to turn this franchise around in 2023.
Right.
Now, they're probably going to be wrong. They're probably going to be absolutely wrong, but they're going to come in with a bunch of hope because the draft does that for you. We're going to draft Bryce Young or CJ Stroud, whoever their guy is, and he's going to come in and change this franchise like Patrick Mahomes did, like Josh Allen did, like Trevor Lawrence is starting to do for Jacksonville. A lot of these quarterbacks, and they're going to do it for us. Our new head coach is going to change our culture. This defense is going to be right, and we're going to be the story of the 2023 season. Every single team is going to have that hope because of the draft. But at the same time, they're going to have a bunch of misses too. We obsess about the makes. There are a lot more misses, and that's part of the process. It doesn't mean guys need to lose their job over every miss, but it means that, hey, you're going to swing and miss, and it seems like for the Dolphins, they swung and missed on Noah, and it is what it is.
It is. Listen, and you know what? Marcel put us up to let's go back and check out the draft and what they've done since. And we went back from 2016 on when I don't really believe Chris Greer was really in charge in 2016. I still think Tannenbaum and Gase were affecting it, but whatever.
Right.
And Laramie Tunsil, Charles Harris.
Yep.
Minka Fitzpatrick, Christian Wilkins.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go Tua's a hit, Noah's a miss, and Jackson's a miss, Waddle, Phillips. So you're 6-3 in your first rounders.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's a good record. I think that
that's a great record.
Yeah.
If you go 500 with your picks in the first round, you're doing a hell of a job overall. 6-3 is absolutely sick, is what it is.
Right. I think that most teams and general managers would say that first round picks, particularly quarterbacks, but most first round picks are 50-50 propositions of being starting caliber, long-term starting caliber players is usually that line. Is this guy, not that he's a star, but that he's a long-term starting caliber player, 50-50 chance in that. And so 6-3, that's what, 66%? That's better than 50.
Yeah, no, that's way better. That's way better. All right, second rounders since 2016. Xavier Howard, Raekwon McMillan, Mike Gesicki. No, Dieter's third. Robert Hunt. Javon Holland, 4-1.
Yeah. Javon Holland was a really good one.
No, Robert Hunt's a hell of a one. I mean,
Robert Hunt's a really good player.
X-Man.
Xavier Howard. I know how you feel about X, but Xavier Howard is
no. He's a hell of a player. I have never denied that he's a hell of a player. What I've never denied is that there's a hell of a lot of baggage that comes with a hell of a lot of player, and that's why I said that was the time to move him. That was your peak, and I was kind of right. What was the other second rounder that we mentioned? Hunt, Javon Holland, X,
Hülkenberg was there. That's been a miss.
That was the bad one, and Raekwon was the bad one, right? Gesicki was the other one.
Gesicki, yes, which has not been.
No, it's been great. It's just they don't know how to use them. That's all. I mean,
it's been fine.
It's not his. I don't blame him. Do you blame Gesicki for real?
I don't blame Gesicki. So Gesicki is who Gesicki is. Now I will say the argument in the draft about Gesicki and Goddard would have been a lot better fit. Now seeing what he is for this offense and for both offenses because he can block and he's more so in essence.
Wait a minute, that wasn't required when they drafted him.
Correct.
Okay.
Adam Gase did not prioritize that. So situations changed, obviously.
Flo and McDaniel are the ones that had.
They didn't take the better of the two tight ends. Goddard is definitely a better tight end than Gesicki, but Gesicki's turned out to be a pretty good after a rough rookie year. He's turned out to be a good receiver, good big receiver. You just had to put him in the right offense, and the Dolphins have not found that.
Dude, Flo wanted his own guy in Hunter Long, and
Hunter Long has not made any impact.
I mean, come on, bro. So I'm just saying, when people talk about the draft, they need to really take inventory on what the hell has gone on, okay? And I don't even want to talk about the middle round back end draft. They kick ass all over the place with those.
Right.
I don't even that's ridiculous what they do on the back end of the draft. That they hit on a whole bunch, and even undrafted guys, they're phenomenal at that. That's why I just think that, to me, this whole negativity way of looking at it, I just think the Dolphins had a lot of bad luck this year. And if they just get some things to roll their way and keep some people injury-free, I think you're going to be covering a hell of a season. That's the way I look at it.
Watching Buffalo this year and seeing some of the offseason decisions they'll have to make, Jordan Porter, Tremont Edmonds, they're getting into a cap situation now that their quarterback is making big cap number. This Bills team is not the giant that it was maybe a year or two ago. And I think with a really good Dolphins offseason, we could be looking at a head-to-head AFC East battle where it's 50-50.
When the hell have you seen the Dolphins play the Bills 3 times the way they did?
Right.
Never.
Right. So to me, 2023 is probably, if the offseason goes the way the Dolphins hope it does, we don't know yet. We're still early. But if it does, then they could be right there neck and neck starting week 1, not just find their way in the middle of the season. Starting week 1, head-to-head, any team between those two can win a division. I don't see why they couldn't win the East. So
follow him on Twitter at Cameron Wolfe and catch his exceptional work there at the NFL Network. Cam, we'll catch up later on in the week, my friend. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Have a good one.
You got it. There you go. And, of course, if you are looking for a firm that is going to take your business to the next level, personally do your taxes, KSDT can help you in so many ways, not just doing your taxes, but payroll and estate tax and all kinds of things. We got offices in Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach counties, and an office coming in North Carolina, baby. KSDT CPAs. The Wolfpack has been unleashed. Hour number 4 starts with Manny Navarro next.
This has been the KSDT CPA Pro Football Report with NFL insider Cameron Wolfe. KSDT is recognized by Forbes as one of the top tax accounting firms for 2022. KSDT CPA is a full-service firm that also excels in crypto. Visit them at ksdtcpa.com or call 305-670-3370.
I think I know what this is. Houston, we have a package. Hello?
No matter where you are, the Sloman Shield home security system guards your home. With next-gen perimeter protection, 24/7 monitoring, and interior motion sensing. And right now, get a free Sloman Shield security system and doorbell camera all professionally installed for free.
Shield your world, the Sloman Shield.
For over 16 years, EJDconstruction.com has provided South Florida residents quality craftsmanship, accurate project management, and exceptional service. That's why EJDconstruction.com is an A-rated member of Angie's List and the Better Business Bureau. When you're looking for the right custom home builder for additions or home remodeling, please call my friend Eric at 305-433-4843. That's 305-433-4843 for EJDconstruction.com.
If you're a Miami sports fan, then there's only one store to go to, and that's Caneswear at Miami Fanwear in Davie. They're your one-stop shop for all your inner Miami CF, Canes, Dolphins, Panthers, and Marlins merchandise. They have hats, t-shirts, game day jerseys, and so much more. Located at 2511 South University Drive in Davie, and open 24/7 online at caneswear.com or innermiamiwear.com. Call them at 954-835-5597. Caneswear, the spot where inner Miami and all Miami sports fans shop.
The viewpoints, statements, or beliefs expressed on the following program by the host, guests, or callers are not necessarily the opinions of FantasyAccess.com, Media Group Inc., ownership, management, sponsors, or website. Time for Canes fans to get what they want. Information, insight, and perspective. It's the Caneswear Miami Hurricanes Report with Manny Navarro, exclusively on the Big O Radio Show. Here's Big O and insider Manny Navarro.
All right. How you doing, my man? You doing all right?
Doing good. Oh, how are you?
Excellent. Crypto bouncing back, waiting for the feds tomorrow. I'm in Mobile, Alabama. How about
Senior
you?
Bowl.
Yes, where it's Senior Bowl time. Where are you at? St. Augustine or you're at home? It looks like you're home.
I'm back home in Pembroke Pines. Yeah, I'm just working on a lot of different stories for The Athletic and got my head in a lot of different places. But hey, man, I enjoy when I can refocus and just talk with you, brother, to be honest.
I appreciate it, bro. Thank you very much. My wife doesn't even say that. So that's very kind of you. All right, so let's get into it. What's the latest right now going on with any other coaching changes going on?
Well, we'll see if there's any more changes. I mean, I think right now the two main ones obviously are offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach, and then obviously they're going to switch it now to receivers coach. I think with their next hire, whoever comes in as coordinator will be quarterbacks coach. But look, I've checked. I don't have any new information as far as how much further along we are in the process of nailing somebody down. I think Mario has been looking into this obviously for a while. And I'm not sure that the guys that he really has at the top of his list have come available to him or have said to him they're interested. And I think he's just holding out, hoping to get somebody that he really wants for this job. I think he's looked at a lot of different names and he's looked at a lot of different people, but obviously it's an important hire. And I think whoever the next offensive coordinator is in Miami probably gets a chance to pick who the receivers coach is, or at least have some serious input with it.
Is it a free agent? Or is he trying to possibly take somebody from an established program already that is under contract?
Yeah, I mean, I think that those are definitely possibilities. I mean, I think when you look at what happened last year and the guys that he interviewed and really had at the top of his list, they were all with other programs, they were all with other teams, they weren't necessarily free agents. So I think had it been a free agent, this probably would have been resolved a long time ago.
That's what I mean. Exactly.
Yeah. I think this is more about, maybe that other guy finishing a contract, maybe that other guy deciding this is where he really wants to go. I know Miami.
Walk us through that, because I'm a little ignorant in that sense. Yeah. Because obviously in the NFL, you would have to give up compensation or something like that. And they have you. So what happens in college football if some guy wants to leave, whatever, Tulane, And he had a great offense there, and Mario loves his offense and loves his his mind and all that. But this guy's under contract. He's got 2 more years left. How does the University of Miami steal a coach like that, and how does a coach get out of a contract like that?
Well, it's all based on the written language in each of those individual contracts. Usually the way a lot of contracts are written, schools that end up hiring that coach away from another program have to sort of pay whatever it is that he owes them, right? Whatever is left in that contract. So they'll cover those expenses, and then the coach will come over. Sometimes contractually, the coach just wants.
Mario's flying around in a helicopter. There's no more budgets anymore, bro.
Well, no
budget. What's budget? I heard Mario burns $100 bills when he walks out of the helicopter. Just lights him up and shows people.
Miami is still being run by a lot of people who are very budget conscious. Even if they are investing in football, they're still run by the same people who for a long time were penny pinching. I think.
Well, they're not penny pinching anymore, bro. They ain't I know UM football used to be the dollar store,
right?
But now it's like Saks Fifth Avenue now, bro. I mean,
Oh, there's no question the philosophy has changed. But my whole point is it's still the same mentality, right? Like, hey, if we could wait till whatever date to save X amount of money, that's what we'll do. They're not going to be run by a bunch of wild men just throwing money all over the place. I think there's responsibility, fiscal responsibility, and all that. And so, look, I honestly, does Mario really have his mind made up? From my understanding, the answer is no. I don't think he really does. I think there's probably several options that he's looking at to fill that position. Is there a pecking order? Is there a list, right? I want this guy first. I want this guy second. I want this guy third. Yeah, I think every head coach does that.
And it doesn't benefit him one bit to allow any of those names to get out. And that's why a dude like you can't even – maybe you do know something, but you can't say it, even if you did know, because that doesn't benefit him. If he's trying to take a coach – from an active program right now and the guy's working, the last thing they need to do is hear reports about him going there to take that person. That would be insult to injury on top of everything. So there's a lot of dynamics in play right here, right?
Yeah, of course. And again, I think, you look at Mario's process last year, and Bruce Feldman and I wrote about it in an extensive story for The Athletic last year after he made the first couple hires. Like he went through a long process of talking to people. And then he also, in the end, Gaddis really wasn't his first choice. I don't even know if he was number 2 or 3. It was sort of like it just went through this pecking order of waiting and waiting and waiting. And certain, it worked out. It worked out in the end. They ended up getting the Broyles Award winner, who they felt really good about. Obviously, things didn't work out on the field, but to them, it was a great hire, right? It was getting the Broyles Award winner from a team that had just made the playoffs. So, from that perspective, they felt like it was the right approach. So, I think in this approach, again, spring football doesn't start until March 4th. You've got plenty of time, in my mind, to bring that coordinator in, have him sit in a few meetings before you take the football field. So, I mean, this could probably push into mid-February if they wanted to be more patient and bide more time to make the right choice. In the end, I think it'll happen in the next week or two, but I just don't know how far along in the process they really are.
All right, yeah, and that's well. I hope he gets his first choice, because if he settled for his second or third, that didn't work out too well the first go around. You know what I'm saying? So hopefully.
Well, I mean, sometimes coaches, they'll tell you, they'll go through the process and then they'll decide at the last minute, nope, I'm staying where I'm at. Nope, I got the money I wanted where I'm at. They're meeting that financial need here. I got my raise here. Why do I need to go there? And the one thing I'll tell Miami fans who, we always look through it orange and green glasses, right? This isn't exactly a sexy job. You're taking there's a lot of pressure. Yes, you have Tyler Van Dyke. He's banged up coming off a shoulder injury, and you don't have a number 1 receiver, and you don't have an experienced offensive line. You're gonna be playing some freshmen in this group, some true freshmen. Yes, Mario's a great recruiter. He's also extremely freaking demanding. So all of those reasons, you say to yourself, well, why is this taking so long? Well, the other guy has to want to be, want in as well. And I know they're all mercenaries and this and that, but if you make the wrong move in today's game, like Josh Gaddis apparently did, that can affect you. That can affect you. Even if you win the Broyles Award, you have one bad year at a place like Miami, who knows what your future holds. So I think this is a two-way street in terms of not only just who does Mario want, but who really actually wants the job.
Well, give me some names. Give me a name or two or three here. I know you wrote about it, so
Yeah, I mean,
Coley and who else?
Well, James Coley, I think, is the most obvious because of the situation he has at Texas A&M, where they've brought in Bobby Petrino to be the offensive coordinator, and at some point he could always say, "Hey, I'd want to bring my own guy in, get rid of Coley." Coley's been with Jimbo obviously for a long, long time, and so to me it makes sense just from that perspective. One name that surfaced in some conversations I had the other day, Joe Moorhead, who I think is the head coach now at Akron. Last year Mario tried to get Jason Candle, who's the head coach at Toledo, to leave a head coaching job to come be coordinator. I think Moorhead.
Like I said, there is no budget anymore. I'm
Right.
just saying.
Right.
I'm just saying. Wait, but I'm a head coach. Yeah, but I got a lot of money for you to be the OC. Come on over.
It's all built on relationships and whether or not they can use that. Like Moorhead, who was with Mario at Oregon, he's a guy who I think if you told him, hey, come get the Alabama job, he'd probably go and do that. Now Miami, it's a different. Again, that's where I talk about how good of a job really is it. Where is it going to springboard you? And I think there's a little bit of apprehension, with some guys.
Oh, that's not fair. I think this has always been a place that springboarded people.
Well, when they're great,
head coach,
not when they're 5-7.
No, I know. Well, okay, but I guess I have faith that Mario will turn this thing around, dude.
Well, I do too. I think eventually he's going to get there. But where is he along in the process? Like,
he's far behind right now.
And that's the thing. That's what I'm trying to express to you is that when guys look at this job, you have to look at it. Well, where is it right now? Right? Where is it going to be after 2023? And does that get me to where I want to go in 2024? And so I think, you have to remember all of these guys are looking for the best scenario for their careers to help push them in a better direction. I think Josh Gaddis took this job last year with the intention of being a head coach by 2024. What happened to him? He had a terrible year and lost his job and now who knows where he ends up. But the point is like this can be a scenario where if you don't have a good year in 2023, you could set yourself back. And so that's why I'm trying to make our listeners conscious of the fact that this isn't an extremely sexy job right now.
No, you're right. That makes all the sense in the world that it's not a sexy job at the moment because you still have a lot to build with this team. So yeah, that is true. All right, I always ask you about the recruiting front every time you're on because I never know what the hell's involved here, and he's always trying to fish for new guys on the portal and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, well, Dennis Smith, who's Miami's recruiting coordinator, working close hand in hand with Mario Cristobal, tweeted out a picture of a mountain this weekend, and so everybody immediately, I got a bunch of text messages with this tweet saying, "What the hell does he mean?" And my guess is Miami's probably adding another recruit tomorrow. I know that they hosted a defensive tackle from the Chicago area this past weekend, a 3-star. He's not Leonard Taylor or Vince Wilfork or anything of that nature, but he's a guy that they like, a guy that they brought in that's a Division I FBS player, and again, that's a position of need. A cornerback, defensive tackle, wide receiver. Those are areas that, again, through the transfer portal or through recruiting, I think Miami could add a piece here and there in the weeks and months ahead. And so tomorrow we may end up getting that announcement from the defensive tackle.
All right, I like it. All right, what else are you working on?
Well, we're preparing for tomorrow's roundtable. I'm working on a Jaden Rashada story. I'm doing a ACC roundtable, an SEC roundtable, a Big Ten roundtable where we talk a bunch of recruiting and I give my analysis and thoughts on all of that. So, lot of signing day, sort of wrap up coverage heading into spring football. From a conference perspective, I know all of us down here are so focused on the Hurricanes, we don't really pay a lot of attention to everybody else, but it's important what goes on in the ACC. And, I think Miami, this is one of the stats I threw into the ACC roundtable, but 12 of the top 21 players signed by ACC schools this year are headed to Miami. And that's a big feather in Mario's cap. You talk about winning at the recruiting, that's something Clemson.
You'll be fine, bro.
I mean, eventually the players are going to become what they need to become, but that's a change where Clemson and Florida State for a long time had been sort of in that perch where they were signing the most, the top recruits in the conference. So 12 out of 21 is a pretty good number for Mario. I think 6 others ended up going to Clemson and 3 to Florida State. So you break it down, that's, you're beating your rivals significantly in that respect in terms of the top players coming into the conference. So
I just feel we got to compartmentalize things because I get it. Last year was horrible. One of the worst year I've ever seen for the Canes, and unfortunately Mario owns it. But one of the reasons why I'm so confident with Mario is that eventually he knows that the way you win is in the line of scrimmage, O-line and D-line. And that's what I see is developing, that he's going to find a way to beef up those 2 lines. And if you do that and you control it, you're going to have an opportunity to compete with anybody and every. If you ever want to get to the point where you want to compete with Georgia and Alabama and Ohio State, and now Florida State's getting there and all that, brother, you better dominate the lines. That's the only way. And then that will make life easier on everybody else on the perimeter. I don't care if it's your linebackers, your corners, or your quarterbacks, or receivers, or running backs. Their lives are a lot easier when those big boys up front are dominating. And that's what I'm seeing in the recruiting, that's what's changing. The size of these individuals, the stars next to them, all that kind of stuff. I think that's a real positive. Does he have to convince me on the offensive side? He's already having kind of offensive issues. This is the one knock on him that is legit. That, okay, are you going to have the kind of offense you need in order to succeed here? And what I mean is, you can't go just dominating on the run game. You're going to have to get some chunk plays along the way. So hopefully they have that kind of passing game too.
Yeah, they really need that. If you look at Florida State's success this past season, they were something like a ridiculous plus 45 in the explosive play category compared to how much they gave up. It was one of the best in the country.
Look at your quarterback. That's what it is.
You had a kid in Jordan Travis who's an excellent college quarterback, the kind of guy that can lead you to a lot of wins and make a lot of plays. And that's why Florida State, so many people are very high on them. I don't know if Florida State's a playoff team. I think some people in the national media think they could be. I don't know that they're there yet with Coach Norvell, but
slim shot, but man, they look good.
I definitely think they're a top 15 program this year, a team that probably wins 10 or 11 games and is right there. So, but still,
quarterback will be up for the Heisman. That he will be.
Well, he probably will be if Florida State beats LSU in week 1 and beats Clemson in week 4. I mean, they've got 2 major challenges the first month of the season, but they get past those.
If they get past Clemson too, I think you got to put that kid in the Heisman talk. But the way he played last year, the improvement he's made, and we talked about it on the gridiron several times. You got to give him a lot of credit that kid has gotten better and better every year.
Just kind of like De'Aaron King. He's very similar in that regard. I think a great college quarterback, a guy who can make plays with his legs and is a good leader.
Yeah.
All of those intangibles, that's what they've got there. So, but again, as far as Miami's concerned, get that big time wide receiver. I think that's still a big need here before the season, and see if you can get a little bit more depth at corner and D tackle. If they do those things, then I think they're in better shape than they are right now. I still think they're probably a 7-win team next year.
All right. Yeah, that's need to get more than that, but I understand because we're still in transition. All right, follow him on Twitter at Manny_Navarro. Catch his work there at The Athletic. Better yet, subscribe like I and many others do. And, of course, go to Canes Wear. They got anything and everything with the Canes logo. You can buy Dolphin gear, Marlins gear, Panthers gear, Inter Miami gear, Heat gear. They got all kinds of killer hats, different colors, and not normally your team colors. They kind of switch it up, those kind of caps. They've got a lot of those, and I showed you that Dolphin cap that I just recently got on. That Dolphin cap is absolutely awesome. They got these new Canes hats that are just fantastic. William Quigley, the owner of Cutter's Edge, he bought one the other day there at Caneswear when he was there with me. So go to Caneswear, 2511 South University Drive in Davie, and if you order over $99, you will get free shipping anywhere in the country. Manny, as always, thank you, my brother. We'll catch up on Friday.
All right. Oh, take care, brother.
Thank you. There you go. The great Manny Navarro and our Caneswear Miami Hurricanes report.
If you're a Miami sports fan, then there's only one store to go to, and that's Caneswear at Miami Fanwear in Davie. They're your one-stop shop for all your inner Miami CF, Canes, Dolphins, Panthers, and Marlins merchandise. They have hats, t-shirts, game day jerseys, and so much more. Located at 2511 South University Drive in Davie, and open 24/7 online at caneswear.com or innermiamiwear.com. Call them at 954-835-5597. Caneswear, the spot where inner Miami and all Miami sports fans shop.
All right. Thank you all out there. Cutter's Edge Pro. We love talking about Cutter's Edge Pro. William, Mike, they do great work, man. Let me tell you, our home is completely different. I've hung out more in my backyard in the last month than I did in the last 15 years. Okay? I mean, that's how ridiculous it is. We had no life in our backyard. It's funny because you pay mortgage for the entire property, and then you got a backyard you're not even using. But if you create an oasis, then all of a sudden you're going to find yourself hanging out in the backyard. The dogs are running around all over the place with the artificial turf. They can't make a mess. They don't bring anything in the house. Even you, when you're walking around your backyard and then you walk in, you know how you got to clean your feet and all that. Nah, you don't have to worry with artificial grass, baby. It's a beautiful thing. And then, of course, the quality of the work, the quality of the trees that you're going to get. Cutter's Edge Pro takes it to the next level. That's why your home, your business will go next level. And remember, when you do add landscaping, you also add value to the home. So immediately the value shoots up. Tree trimming and removals, folks, we don't want you doing it. It's dangerous sometimes. Sometimes it's way up by the roof. It's by power lines, all that. Leave it to the pros. CuttersEdgePro.com. Go to the Instagram page at Cutter's Edge Pro so you can see a lot of the stuff that they've done. Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach counties. You might even see my house there. The one that has a putting green, that's my house there. And they did phenomenal work, folks. That's why they are your total landscape solution. They do lawns, landscape maintenance for medium to large HOAs, condominiums, corporate parks, and large commercial building complexes in Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach counties. The synthetic turf is awesome, easy to maintain. You're not watering, you're not cutting the grass all the time, so you're going to save thousands in the long run. That's what's going to happen. Call William or Mike. Get it done. They will take care of you. 954-472-0622. That's 954-472-0622 for Cutter's Edge Pro. All right. Yes. Okay. When sports and business collide, folks, we like doing something called the KSDT CPA Sports Business Report. An amazing story, an amazing man, a guy that has made an incredible impact in sports culture, in sports business. The swag is just endless and will be endless till the last day he's on earth. And I'm talking about Michael freaking Jordan. Everyone wants to be like Mike, and nobody can be like Mike. Nobody has his kind of career. Nobody has his kind of business acumen, and nobody has his kind of shoe. Okay. And he, by the way, the Jordan brand in 2022 produced $5.1 billion for Nike. He gets 5% of that, which is $256 million. Just from Nike. He's been with Nike since 1984. And by the way, he has a net worth right now of $1.7 billion, according to Forbes. Jordan's brand produced $4.8 billion in 2021, okay? Up 31% from the $3.6 billion in 2020. Now it's at $5.1 billion. MJ, by the way, made $90 million his entire career for his salary. Okay, they didn't skyrocket to the point that they are now. And the last 5 years, the Jordan brand has produced $19.4 billion. And he gets 5% of that. Damn. Damn. It's a lot of money. I mean, when they first came out and Jordan came out, Jordan was awesome. But even watching Jordan at that moment, you still couldn't figure that he was going to grow into the icon that he, developed into, where he's like what everyone compares him to. You're Kobe, you're LeBron, you're Wade, you're Steph Curry, doesn't matter. You're going to be, oh, okay, well, Michael won 6 and won all 6 MVPs and played 82 games all the time. And he's like the gold standard of everything. Okay? He's the guy that instead of, you whining and bitching that you were out till 1 or 2 and then the next day you can't do your job, well, here's the guy that's out till 1 or 2 and then the next day is going to kick your ass, not just do his job. He's going to kick your ass. Nobody saw this coming, man. That this guy would be this iconic in his business venture with that shoe and obviously on the court. Congratulations to the GOAT, dude. Damn. $256 million just from Nike. That's not to say all the other sponsorships, what he makes as the Hornets owner. My Lord, that man is bringing in well over $300 million, close to $400 million probably. That, my friends, Dade, Broward, or Palm Beach counties, soon in North Carolina, that's your KSDT CPA Sports Business Report.
This has been the KSDT Sports Business Report. KSDT CPA is one of South Florida's largest and one of the country's fastest growing accounting firms. KSDT is recognized by Forbes as one of the top tax and accounting firms for 2022. KSDT CPA is a full service firm that also excels in crypto. Visit online at ksdtcpa.com or call 305-670-3370.
By the way, I thought this was kind of funny. I don't know if you guys caught this. I'm sure you did. You heard about it, watched it on television or social media or whatever. The Empire State Building over the weekend was green for the Eagles. I thought that was like, are you kidding me? Was Stephen Ross in charge of the building? Is that Stephen Ross's building, the Empire State Building? I'm just wondering. I don't know. Do me a favor, Sean, because I wouldn't even be surprised. He owns enough buildings. Did he ever buy the Empire State Building? I'm not sure, but did he? Because that's a Stephen Ross move if I've ever seen it. Let's celebrate the Gators, even though the University of Miami plays here. Didn't they sell Jets shirts once in the thing? In their fan wear thing, right in the stadium for a game or something like that, or some crap. Was it a Tebow shirt or something? I mean, seriously, like some of the shit that Ross has done. That's what that reminded me of. Not that I care about New York or anything like that, but I just found it hilarious that you're in a city with the Giants that's in the same division, and you're congratulating and celebrating the Eagles? What the hell is wrong with you? I mean, that was bad. Whoever did that, boy, they dropped the ball there, man. That's disrespectful, dude. You're in New York. You should only represent the New York teams. True Fin Fan, thank you for the love in the super chat. Best sports icon ever, Jordan or Ali? Wow. That's a great one. I'm going to go Ali. Because Ali is a guy that fought for more than just sports. And so I think he meant more to Americans, period. Jordan's been a guy that has stayed away from controversies and politics and stuff like that, whereas Ali did not give a crap. And, he fought it like he should have. Jordan's been kind of a wuss in that sense because all he cares about is his bottom line, so he's worried about who he pisses off. Kind of like when I slam Dems or Republicans, I don't care if you're pissed off. It doesn't bother me. I'm not going to lose sleep because some Dem or some Republican is pissed because I crap on both groups. But I got to go Ali all the way because he did more things and put his career on the line for the better of man. And I think that is important. True Fan again with a super chat says, I'm going Ali as well, in the ring and out. Yeah. So Jordan is a great athlete. That's the difference there. All right, let me see. Remember, you can make a donation through Cash App or Venmo, and that's Cash Big O Show. That is Cash Big O Show on Cash App or Venmo. All right, we are out of here. We will see you all tomorrow. I am off. I got to go to practice. And so, as I told you, this will be a different kind of show this week. We will be a little earlier than we are doing. We did 3.5 hours today. So there's a lot of content there. Sean will he'll slice up the show, and you'll get all kinds of segments and the interviews and everything else. Yeah, I saw that with Bobby Hall and Cindy Williams, Brett. Sad with Bobby Hall. He lived into his 80s, and Cindy Williams, Laverne and Shirley, she passed away at the age of 75, actually. Apparently she had an illness and passed away. It's a shame. Two absolute icons in their respective professions. So, yes, I'm with you. Rest in peace, Bobby Hall, and rest in peace, Cindy Williams. Thank you for the laugh, Cindy, because that's one thing that Laverne and Shirley brought. Very, very Lucille Ball-esque. A lot of physical comedy. And I thought that was actually really cool. That's one of the things that Laverne and Shirley was fantastic in. Their physical comedy was absolutely awesome. That's right, Dougie Fresh. Send me the DM soon. Pick a bar in Pensacola. I am going to a bar in Pensacola. So, and it's going to be all Dougie Fresh is going to pick the bar. Crossing my fingers. All right. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Same time, same place, same bat channel. Thanks to Sean Stanley. Appreciate all of you out there. Be good.